Yay!
Unless you have mechanics questions beforehand.
Do we ever have mechanics questions?
No, we have
Some.
plumber's questions instead.
Plumbers
True.
questions?
At least they're not electricians' questions. Those are typically the most terrifying.
Yeah, those are hard.
I'm confused as to how plumbers questions. What does that even mean?
Mechanic?
Mechanic.
Ah, gotcha. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm enjoying every minute of it, too. Okay, session 23. Are we all here?
Yep, I'm here.
I summoned a Ricky to meet space. And thus we have a Ricky.
Oh.
In 2020?
Can you hear
Who
me?
does such a thing? Yes.
Okay. I don't actually know where the mic is, so I'm just kind of screaming at the void.
The mic is right there.
Is Lore present or no?
No.
No? Is he joining?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So yeah, I basically started the recording. Welcome to... You guys have the protagonist and agency ball. Again, still. So I don't know what you're going to do.
I thought we were being forced to do a thing.
No, you were being told to go handle a problem, not how to handle it.
Oh, also,
That seems like a poor decision on their part.
yeah. Also, I love that you popped up on this screen and Ricky has no context.
Oh yeah, should we give what the context has been for Ricky?
I mean, I'm pretty sure as soon as Terran sees Sir Iric, he's going to run up and tattle on everybody.
I will say, we can do that in character when things get going. It's a question for me, like, while Iric is traveling back with you guys not knowing this, and you have time for preparations and such, what people talked about preparing for things. I don't... It's a question of what does everyone want to actually do?
I mean, probably work on propaganda.
I mean, I have no way of influencing what we do.
Well... It sounds like a question for Christoph and Victor, then, probably.
You guys got this.
Sorry, I was thinking something else. What was the question?
What are you doing?
What the fuck do we do?
I mean, if we can keep Thief Terran on a loner for a little longer, that would be ideal.
You just want a friend.
I need someone who actually understands how to pull off a heist.
I think I pulled off a very successful heist. Thank you very much.
Hell, I could... Fuck it, eventually I could save up enough points and buy him as an ally.
This deal.
That would actually be kind of awesome. But yeah, probably at least a couple weeks, like, figuring out their campsite, looking at, like, ins, outs, and ways to take them out. I mean, obviously, Iric definitely gives us more combat power than we had the last few sessions, but...
Am I
All right,
here?
so
Have I come?
you're going to come back in soon. So what I'm hearing is Christoph...
Because I just heard contingent planning about me, and I'm like, I'm not even that kid.
What I'm hearing is Christoph is going to be trying to track down this group of bandits. Is that accurate?
That's pretty accurate.
All right. So Christoph's trying to track them down. Victor, are you going to join in on that or focus more on dealing with the turkey?
Probably go deal with the turkey, not that I have any ideas about how.
Okay. All right, so joining in Aiden's propaganda efforts then?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds like reasonable plans. So, Christoph, I would say, I'm just taking up the number of hours that are being worked on for said propaganda. So don't worry about that one. You have enough skill that you don't have to bother rolling for both of you helping with this.
Oh, but I want to see either crit pass or crit fail because those are the only two options.
Okay, fine. Roll your dice if you really want to do that instead. This is allowed.
Eh. I will probably take your counting hours because
Okay.
I don't think I actually. Oh no, how good am I actually at this? A 12, so entirely mediocre. But actually capable of doing it. I could get it up to 13 trivially.
Yeah. The big thing for Christoph is, how are you trying to find them?
I mean, I'd try to get some information from local authorities. Still assuming with Aiden's help, get some information from the local authorities about like where they've hit, where they've like kind of retreated to once done with their looting and banditing. And then you probably would need. Honestly, I might need both Terrans to help out with this because
Yeah, we're not.
your Terran is a tracker, and then with Thief Terran is just stealthy and generally helpful.
I mean, I am also stealthy, unless I fail my.
Yes, I just mean like your main utility is actually being able to track in the wilderness.
Yes.
Well, so bringing you back to the map. So the complicated part is the big thing is they keep moving, and it's been from the authorities who've been trying to track them. It's been hell because their leader is a very skilled Earth mage. Basically, like when they settle down for a period of time, a new solid stone fortification gets built that they attack from like trade routes out of, and then they move again. This is the main reason why the Sun Guard has thus far been incapable of actually doing much against them. Yes.
Okay.
So you can't just go to the forest. Like, you know that they're roughly in the northern part where I'm pinged, primarily. But they have been known to swap around to the south. Like, they've kind of been all over the county.
So they're running around in circles trying to avoid people?
No, they're bandits. They're raiding people. And mostly they're raiding merchant caravans, primarily carrying very expensive things, commissions from nobility, materials to make such things. And, like, just finding them is one of the bigger problems that the Sun Guard has been having.
Can I talk to any of my buddies in the Sun Guard, see if they've had any recent sightings of them?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Assuming I have buddies in the Sun Guard.
Taran has a buddy in the Sun Guard.
Yeah, what's he say?
It's like, well, last we saw them, they were out towards the northwest, but about a week ago.
So they're still definitely 100% going to be there.
You know, Darren, you wander out in the woods and you somehow manage to find problems? Maybe.
I will report this back. I'm sure Kristoff will be more than pleased.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Hey, Kristoff. Kristoff. Kristoff.
What's up, Darren?
I found out where they are. Apparently,
That's good.
all we need to do is we just need to walk out into the woods and I'll find them.
So you don't know where they are.
Well, my buddy in the Sun God said, all I need to do is walk out there and trouble will find me.
Tell you what, Taryn. Why don't you give that a try?
All right.
Okay, so there's a sanction for Terran to go off on his own and do shit.
I mean, normally that would be. But Terran goes off in the woods towards the west like, he was told. And someone important is actually coming riding into the city then, which is Eirik returning.
Sir Eirik!
Taryn
runs up to you, and he's like, oh, and then he, shakes his head, and his bleach blonde bangs kind of flop in front of his eyes. He says, hi, Sir Eirik, how are you doing? The rest of his head is completely, or mostly shaved off.
He has bangs and just that left right now.
Is this like a tonsure? Is this something that any known group that I know does?
No.
Okay, so this isn't normal.
No.
Irik's going to say, hello. You look different.
I don't feel any different, should I?
Well, probably not. You changed your hair.
Oh yeah, it wasn't by choice. Aiden and Anya did it.
I don't believe I was involved in the haircut in any way.
No, you weren't. You were in charge of the dyeing. You've missed so much, Sir Eirik. It's so good you'll be back. I've got so much to tell you.
I thought the dye was gone at this point.
No. Nick very specifically ruled last session.
You bleached his hair with lye.
Yeah.
You're headed out of town. Where are you going?
Oh, yeah, I was going to go find the bandits because I'm told I'll always find trouble whenever I set foot outside of the city limits.
So I'll tell you what, why don't you take me back to the rest of the group? They gave me the town, but I don't know exactly where everyone's lodging.
Oh, sure. That'll be great.
Okay, he'll hold down a hand to pull Taryn up into the saddle with him.
It's so good to see you, Sir Eirik. So much has happened. I don't even know what to tell you. We met up back with Abby. She wanted us to go to the ruins. I just said I didn't want to be any part of it, but everybody, including Victor, were more than happy to go grave robbing. We came up with a plan where we were going to burn down a warehouse for the Church of the Turkey. Anya supports arson. I almost got killed. And
Chris burning down a warehouse in the name of the turkey?
No. It's a warehouse of the turkey with the mob. We roasted the turkey.
With the mob?
Well, the mob and the turkey were working together in the warehouse on illegal sales of pomegranates and raspberries.
Were those legal the last time I checked?
No, those are not illegal right now. As near as you can tell.
An illegal trade of pomegranates and raspberries?
Yeah. The shiny rocks that only the Church of the Turkey is allowed to have. So
those are rubies.
Sumptuary laws.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the Church of Turkey is only allowed to have shining hooks that is rubies. They're a holy stone for the turkey, as was created as a fact several sessions back.
Wait. So they were illegally smuggling rubies?
Yes.
Yes.
Why is it illegal if they're allowed to have them?
Yeah,
criminals are supposed to have them.
Yeah, because the mob was going to have them. So I was told, if Aiden was able to get his superiors there while the place was burning on fire, they could look around. So I went and I tried lighting a bunch of fires, but then I got stabbed a lot. And I almost died, but I didn't die. And my brother was there, and Kristoff's not allowed to steal anything from them because they're apparently watching him very closely.
Hang on a second. Did I get a report of 2 Terrans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I had people following the group around, providing me head and limbs checks on everyone every couple weeks. So I was like, I just need to make sure that I have a count of all of the Terrans right now.
So you should have gotten a count of twice as many Terran limbs and heads.
I'm hoping it's exactly twice. I'm hoping that they...
It is exactly twice.
It's greater than 4 limbs and 1 head. That's not useful.
Yeah, we we did not dismember Terran since the last time you were here. We were waiting for you.
So how did that turn out with the setting warehouses on fire? Did you get the arrest that you wanted?
Well, I didn't get arrested, which was good. One of the turkey guys was put in the stocks, and people threw eggs at him, and now he smells really bad.
That sounds like
Aiden's boss is here, and he's taking over the investigation, but he wants Aiden to go do something, but I don't think Aiden wants to do it, so I think he's going to make somebody else do it, and we're going to do something else, which is why I'm out here looking for bandits.
Okay, the night.
What night?
The Aiden's boss is a knight?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, what did you say about where you're going now?
Oh, I'm going... Well, I was told... We're trying to find a group of bandits. You remember the ones we found last time back when we were over near Cargaz?
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently they're stealing from nobles here. Most of them are bad nobles, but it's okay. We gotta help them anyway, apparently. So they're somewhere around the city, so I was told the last sightings were out here in the west, so I'm gonna go look for them, because apparently I'll always find trouble.
Well, you found me first, so let's go back and find the rest of the party.
Okay. A few hours later. Hey everybody, look, I found Sir Iric out in the wilderness.
Before we go in, Iric's gonna rein the horse up outside and then say, before we head in, I wanted to give this to you.
Uh-oh. What is it?
He pulls out a large bundle cloth. There's like a protective cloth around it, and it also feels like cloth, and he hands it to you.
I'm going to slowly unwrap it. What is it?
It's a gambeson, and then the rest of the associated clothing in the heraldry of the House of Alexander. And it's pretty finely made.
Is it my size?
Yes, it's made to your specifications.
There's a specification for Terrans?
Yes. Well, I'm assuming somebody had his measurements on file.
You did for how many times you helped him replace his armor?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm making a joke off your choice of words, implying that there's like a standard Terran shape and size that you can stamp them out with.
For me?
For you.
Taryn's gonna start shedding some tears, but try to hold them in. Thank you. And he's
This is going to be really amusing when we tell you why Taryn doesn't deserve gifts in 5 minutes.
Taryn's immediately gonna start stripping naked in front of you.
Wait, what's gonna be awkward?
Aiden, it's going to be awkward when he tells you why Taryn doesn't deserve nice things.
Yeah, I guess so.
So I'm assuming we're going to have a quick cut to Aiden's villa, which is probably where everyone's been meeting.
Yeah, that seems likely.
Yeah.
I'm happy I got to go to the present. Been sitting on that secret.
Mm-hmm. So, Aiden's villa. We're just going to say everyone's there at some point, where you send out callers and get people there.
Yeah, I go tie up Rat.
Rat?
And Rat's my horse.
My gosh. It's like Roach, but not really.
It's exactly like Roach. I named it Rat when we started the campaign and no one ever needed to know the name.
Approval.
It's a bay, completely nondescript thoroughbred named Rat.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
So the group is back together.
Okay.
Besides
Guess
Taryn-
should give you the story of everything that's happened since you've been gone.
I'm going to walk in the book for coffee.
So let's see. Because you were still kind of out of it when we dropped you off back at the keep. I'll go over also the time that was while you were recovering after we all almost drowned, which is just for a reminder because you clearly were there for all of these things.
You will realize as you're telling him this that his memory of this is not good. Anything after the part where, what was the first part, where Tara runs off into the woods?
Yeah, after Taryn ran off into the woods by himself.
Anything after the point where Taryn ran off to the woods by himself, Eirik actually has a picture-perfect memory of. He was just convinced it was a fever dream.
Oh no, that all happened where Aiden basically set up a nice luxury resort camp while Kristoff chased after Taryn. Taryn then proceeded to wander around eating rocks and dirt until he got to a town, where he then proceeded to murder about 3 civilians before leaving, which, according to him, doesn't count because they're filthy barbarians. He then continued to wander off. Kristoff had to tip people after that and actually pay for supplies to help mitigate the amount of damage that was done by Taryn.
Wait,
let's
Taryn
see.
committed a triple homicide?
Yep. And then
Let's
weekend
go back to the
burning.
part where Taryn committed a triple homicide and unpack that a little bit.
Yep. We then finally decided that Kristoff was it that Taryn had to be led back by full force. So the rest of us met up with Kristoff, chased Taryn off to the Badlands. Basically, when a band of people came by, and mistook him from some other Taryn, we said no, left, told Taryn that people who commit triple homicide for hate-filled reasons don't get to meet long-lost siblings.
You did say that.
Yeah, people who hate crimes are not rewarded with family reunions. That is apparently the line we have drawn in this party. It's not a great line to have drawn, but at least we drew it. We went back to this town where we found things are a huge mess because various crime families have grown too powerful. The Church of the Turkey has grown pretty powerful, and there's a lot of smuggling and things going on that kind of started with the coffee, but kind of just accelerated from there. I don't remember the name of the other crime family that we're trying to get rid of that's been dealing with the turkey, but they've been doing a lot of smuggling, illegal activities, and there's a huge bandit problem from the bandits we've kind of ignored every other time we've had to do and just made a deal with them for them to go somewhere else and for us to continue as we are.
So I got part of this from Taryn earlier. I'm a little confused about the Church of the Turkey and the smuggling. It sounds like there's a mob involved, but also there's coffee smuggling, but also there's pomegranate smuggling.
Rubies and other illegal goods.
That makes sense.
A lot of things that are much higher problems than coffee.
Okay. And the Church of the Turkey is complicit. Like, they know that this is happening and they're participating.
They are actively participating. There's also a lot of people in guard and various other positions, in the town guard and various other positions that have been working with them and basically letting them get through the border checks and the like without anything. There's a lot of people complicit and actively working in it. The Lord and his heir, of course, knew nothing. They've been informed. Abby has been busy dealing with lawsuits, so she hasn't been doing anything. We made a deal to get Thief Taryn because Kristoff is too much of a known face to actually sneak around town and get us information. So we did a deal to get some things from a ruin for her in exchange for getting to use Thief Taryn's time to get some more information on what's going on, which let us identify several of the warehouses and buildings that illegal goods were currently being stored at, and that they had been using to ship and move things around. I invited my superior officers over for dinner on the grounds of they couldn't say no because they're one of the people that is up for taking over the territory, so they can't really say no to me inviting them to dinner. Coincidentally, at this time, someone who was totally not Terran given hair dye started setting fire to the warehouses, requiring all of us to rush out of there, put out the fire, and then discover all of the illegal goods.
Huh. How did that work out?
From what I know, not well. That we still got over to the area, but there were apparently some problems. Christoph can probably explain those a little bit better afterwards, because I have successfully convinced my superior officers that none of this was a plan and I have no idea what I'm doing. They have taken over the investigation and asked us to deal with the bandit problem instead.
I'm sorry. You came up with this plan and then lied to your superior officers about it.
Yeah.
The moment I went wrong. Your father sent you on this mission to become a knight to improve your character.
Well, like, not setting fire in order to get a group of guards to come over and look at evidence is probably, while I totally had nothing to do with that and I was dinner across town, is probably not the best honorable thing for a knight. And also, like, I'm getting close to the point where I would have to get promoted if I keep doing things successfully. And I really don't want to have to deal with that paperwork.
He really doesn't deserve a promotion.
When we get out of here, I want to go looking for souvenirs.
So, like, letting them believe that the majority of our accomplishments have been due to you, not me, and that I totally am not trying to manipulate them into going after the criminals in the area while being completely oblivious about what's going on. Like, that has way less work that has to be done after the fact.
Did you take Did you take a oath of knighthood when you joined up, or are they kind of like, is this a trial phase?
I have some oaths and duties that I have to care about.
Are any of them about your chain of command?
Are any of them about what?
Your chain of command at all?
I'm gonna say no from like how all this has been, is they're mostly independent. You're supposed to nightly and do good things, and when the order calls upon you to perform a task, you go and perform that task justly and correctly.
Okay, but I'm assuming I roughly know some of this stuff.
Yes.
I believe I have done and fulfilled the bare minimum of all of my required duties. I have been a wandering knight doing just things, considering how many problems we have solved.
Outside most of his oaths for the entire time he's had them.
I know, but now he's lying to his superiors about it. Like, that's the line that I'm hitting.
That's not very new.
But I'm
Like-
finding out about it.
Yes.
So,
I mean, usually it's lying about, like, things that I did that I wasn't supposed to do, not lying about the I'm better at my job than you think I am.
Yeah. Oh, you might not have heard it for Tron's breaking up, but the important part of his lie was that he had no idea what was going on and happened to stumble upon crime scenes and other things as part of drunken revelry.
yes, but participation in arson is an important detail. Important.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is fair.
I mean, arson has surprisingly been the one plan that consistently works for this party.
You're not wrong. But the last time we did it was an act of war, and it seems like this was.
So Christoph,
Well, technically, it's an act of war on crime.
I'm going to look at Christoph and kind of like raise my eyebrows, like, can you explain this any better? Because I'm about to lose my mind.
It's complicated, but so far it's been a net positive.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay. So,
Well, it's me like I'm Terran.
Explain it to me like
I don't think I can dumb down my vocabulary quite that much,
okay.
but I'll do my best. So, we had the church, and we had the criminal gang that I don't associate with at all, doing even worse things than usual. They're kind of
Okay, I'm rolling my bullshit detector on that I don't do anything with at all.
so basically, they were fucking things up. There was illegal ruby trading coming in, as well as other unsavory things. So basically, we figured let's kill two birds with one stone. We'll fuck over the church, and we'll fuck over the other criminals. And
Alright.
basically, we got enough pressure on them from law enforcement without our direct involvement being involved that I'm probably not going to be killed in my sleep anytime soon.
Wait, so there is a group that you were definitely not involved with at all. And now you're not going to get killed in your sleep because there was pressure on them?
Yes, basically, there's pressure. Here's the thing: is that if this got traced back to the group, if this got traced back to our group, there's a good chance that quite a few of us would be disappeared. Maybe not Aiden, because he's actually well known, but given that people think that I'm associated with a rival criminal group, plausible deniability, I would probably get offed, and then they'd start working through my known associates, which would probably be most of you guys.
Okay, so I rolled body language past 4.
Christoph, please roll fast talk.
I mean, I'm not lying.
Look,
No,
saying
you said that you weren't
he's
at all
literally
involved.
saying definitely not associated with at all.
That part. Okay.
Yeah, that part.
Like, I don't think that is. I'm not sure if you need to do
Also, you
detect
said
lies for that.
that you're associated with a rival gang, and I'm pretty sure that's a lie based on what I know about your backstory.
That part of it specifically is a lie. Hold on.
Because Ira doesn't know how deep you are in.
Wait, hold on. Wait, no, I put that in wrong. Passed by 7.
Okay.
I was gonna clap, but then I'm like, wait a minute, that's 2 1s. How did you screw that up so bad?
I was like, wait a minute. There we go. I just did it backwards.
That's fair. I like that my body language and his fast talker matched his stats, so eventually we're equally good at this.
At some point, I'm just going to figure it out, but 1 + 1 still does not equal 2.
And you weren't here for the times it was blatantly said loud enough for everyone except for Taryn to get the 1 + 1 = 2.
Taryn knows that Kristoff is a thief at this point.
Well, no, a thief, but
we all know he's a thief. I just don't know that he's a full criminal. Like, I think that he's a thief in the same way that the guys that I convinced to join the guard because they steal things too often are thieves. Not like he's a thief as in he's up to debt to his eyeballs to a crime organization. So.
And that he has a membership in the mafia.
Yeah, and then I helped smuggle coffee for said mafia. Yeah.
I think he's like a small-time coffee dealer. I don't think he's like whatever the local drug equivalent is.
And then I effectively just helped secure the coffee trade for my group in this territory.
Oh yeah, no, completely lost it. I don't even think you're involved in this at all. I'm like, oh, this pickpocket did well for himself.
Definitely did not the let's go to the ruins and take only exactly what we need to take, leave with a giant sack of goods.
Hey, I took 3 things, and none of them were that big.
They were all magical.
We also have Thief Terran, and Thief Terran's not in the mob, so like, I don't know, I assume you two are on the same level, as in like...
Actually, I just realized I'm probably more attractive than the last time Eric saw me.
Right, yeah, you have a magic item that boosts your attractiveness level.
Excellent question.
Okay, so instead of actually... You just, like, I'm scanning the group, like, status checking the group, because I haven't seen you guys in 2 months, and my gaze just, like, lingers on, you said Kristoff?
On Kristoff.
On Kristoff. And then, like, goes away and comes back, squint. Wanders back away, comes back, squint. Wait. Takes his head from the conversation.
I'm trying to see if I care enough to mention that he got a magic item that makes him look more attractive.
Just like that.
I mean, I feel like I know he's hotter. I just have no idea why, and there's no polite way to ask. Like,
Hey, Christoph.
why are you hot?
Hey, Christoph, can you clench your butt cheeks for me for a second? Yeah.
That is creepy and out of character for both Terrans.
There's no polite way to ask that.
No.
So, we've managed to skip the most important thing that happened during all of this, which is that when Terran was discovered while trying to set the fires, he killed the guy and then attempted to weekend at Bernie's him past his friends.
That was not part of the plan at all.
We get to Bernie's who?
The guy who found him.
The guy
He
who
picked
found
up the corpse of the guy he killed and tried to hide behind it as he carried it across the door.
And puppeteer it like it was still alive.
the triple homicide.
No, that was totally unrelated.
This one was not a hate crime.
We actually killed fewer people in the intended raid on a enemy warehouse than Terran killing 3 people in a town.
Okay, so who killed a man and then weekended Bernie's him? I got
That was Terran.
Warrior Terran, to be precise.
Yeah, Warrior Terran, entirely without any sort of provocation or like encouragement from other people in the group.
So what I'm hearing is that we have a 4-body long streak of Terran without provocation murdering people.
Pretty much, yes, actually.
Pretty much. Like,
this was supposed to be a stealth mission.
But they.
oh no, I give the one that happened during Plan Arson a little bit more of a pass than the 3 random villagers who were minding their own business.
That's true. I mean, admittedly, I did not kill anyone until it was necessary to help save Terran from dying horribly.
I do actually feel the need to point out the guy did draw a weapon on Terran when he did that.
Okay.
Yes, but only because Terran decided to scale a wall with his terrible climbing.
Yeah, so those ones did. So that one was we're saying is a little bit more justified. It was still a murder that happened during a stealth mission, but like it was more justified. There's some element of self-defense involved.
I mean,
It wasn't, can you please stop disrupting town by shouting for food while refusing to pay for it? And I'm going to now cut you in half.
I didn't refuse to pay for
Terran
anything.
basically said "kill me" to a guy and then shot him in the face.
What?
Wait, what?
That is my out of character description for how that situation went down. You were like, "Kill me, bro," and then just murdered the guy.
So we're not talking about 2 things. That's my fault. But in the triple murder, because I'm now less concerned about the single murder, it seems like it was plausibly self-defense. In the triple murder, there was talk about paying people. Have we actually secured justice in any sense, done any kind of reparation, or are we harboring a man who committed a triple homicide without provocation?
Mostly B, but a little of A. So Terran had wandered, and I had gone to like try to find a way out of the woods. Terran kind of got ahead of me because he, didn't notice that I was falling behind. He got to a town a couple hours ahead of me. What we found out later is that he was hungry and was begging for food, but doing it in a very aggressive and obnoxious manner. And when some men thought he was kind of deranged and asked him to leave the town, he started yelling and getting belligerent. And apparently something happened, or people were trying to get him out of the town, and he started lopping off limbs.
We're harboring a triple murderer.
I'm assuming you're having this conversation when I'm not around, otherwise I would have jumped in at this point.
Well, the way you jumped in the past when we've accused you about this was that they're barbarians, filthy barbarians, and not real people. So, yeah, we're probably going to have this conversation when you're not around, because we'll mention that was your defense of the fact that they're filthy barbarians, they don't count as people, and that you are hungry.
Yeah, that's probably something that has to get mentioned.
Yeah.
In terms of reparations to the town, Christoph did pay above asking price for supplies, and then we did pay above asking price for supplies again later.
Yeah, I mean, there was a good chance I was going to get run out of town if I didn't do something to make people happy. And, yeah, we kind of did the supplies pretty badly.
And this is why there's in the quotes of, "You fucker, I had to tip."
Yeah.
In the memorable quotes.
Still one
There
of my
was
favorite
also-
quotes ever, by the way.
There was also a lecture at some length to Taryn from Anya about the morality of this, or lack thereof.
It didn't really do much good, unfortunately.
The
No.
second attempt at the lecture, which before we went to the ruins to get the things for Abby, I think went slightly better.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
talk
not
to him as well
saying
and see
much,
if I
though.
can talk some sense into him.
You want my tomatoes because I don't want them.
I like how we finally did draw and figure out what the line that we drew was.
It's kind of funny that we actually did find kind of like a line of morality for this party.
What
It
is
took
the
us
line of morality?
like 20 something sessions. Basically, completely unjustified murder of civilians in broad daylight is definitely over the line. We got to dial in like where exactly the line is, but we know that's over the line.
I'm okay. Look, as long as there's something over the line, like that means there is a line.
Yeah, there's a line somewhere.
It's good.
It's still fuzzy, but we're working on it.
Yeah,
There's
we
no
determined
line,
we determined hate crimes. We apparently are against poisoning civilian populations. There's a couple of lines. There's a couple of times where we've gone, no, that crosses a line. Like, a lot of the time, it's weird that that's where we finally drew the line, and we probably should have drawn the line earlier, but we have gone, no, that crosses the line.
At least in like probably more my defense than anything else. I'm kind of built to be the morality compass of the party, and there was a lot of stuff happening at a systemic level that I didn't know about because I wasn't the one who established the lore for a long time.
It's true.
People were like, "You're grave robbing," and I was like, "Oh, people actually still own this land? I didn't know. I didn't know where we were."
An important part about that is your like civilization doesn't consider them to really own it, so much as live on it.
Mm-hmm. You want to get on though?
Yeah.
Bag of nuts. Sorry, we're dipping up for food.
Yeah, we're just arriving.
You guys are dipping out for food? That's terrible.
I thought Dave said something, but I don't know what it was.
Oh, this is the one you already used.
No, I didn't say anything.
I said you're dipping out for food. That's terrible.
Divvying up the loot of calories.
Caloric loot.
But yeah, that is a pretty good wrap up of where you guys have been.
We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, so yes, you do have a lot of work to do. What do you do now is sort of the question.
So I heard you set Taryn off into the woods on his own to quote unquote find danger.
I didn't do that.
The words he used were "find trouble," and I did enlist him to try to help track where the bandit problem is.
You should
Because
probably
if it
just
was-
ask the trees for directions.
Yeah, well, I can't do that. I don't specialize in flower magic.
That seems like something you could improve on.
Asking the trees for directions?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Ricky?
Is there a reason that you aren't out asking the directions?
Well, I'm currently working to take advantage of the propaganda, and due to wanting to maintain my reputation as a slacker to my boss, I'm going to hold off on a few days before I actually put in work on the thing he told me to do.
I love everything about that.
Like, I don't want him to think he can just tell me to do things and I will actually go and accomplish them. Because then he'll start telling me to do things more often. I want the appearance of everyone else spent far more work on this problem than I did.
Sorry, I was eating a really gristly piece of meat and it was a minor life event.
I was just like, wow, people are not responding to that in the slightest. I guess it's just so on brand.
I thought it was going to be an easy bite, and then I was just chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing, and then I was like, maybe I'm not going to be able to eat this. So sorry, I'm back. You have a duty to complete the orders that are given to you by your superior officer. It's a part of your oath, Aiden.
And I will get it done. It's not like they're going to randomly disappear. And there is also another pressing problem that I'm working on.
What is this other pressing problem? Pray tell.
The issue with the fact of the Church of Turkey propaganda has been making things living hell for revenants in the territory.
What is this propaganda?
So
The only thing I know about the Church of the Turkey.
So the Church of the Turkey is very anti-revenant and has been pushing anti-revenant sentiment. So the propaganda that we're working on is to counter that and also turn people against the Church of the Turkey.
Now that we have some, there's some kind of public evidence of their smuggling crimes, we're kind of adding that in as well.
Yeah.
Helping move things along.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah, need to take advantage of it while people's attention is still on the subject because they'll forget about it in 2 months.
That sounds like a worthy cause, at least.
It's pretty useful.
So, is there enough work on that to do to postpone us for a few days?
There's a lot of work to do on that.
It sounds like our best bet would be to wait a couple days and then go looking for the barbarians.
Bandits, not barbarians.
The bandits.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same bandit group that we've gone after a few times. The one that has the rogue earth movers.
Are these guys that kept going by Kargaz?
Yeah, a while. And then they suddenly stopped.
Look, we went into, when we were going after the cold iron mine, we basically talked with them and got them to avoid joining that fight so we didn't have to fight her when we were fighting everyone else in that cave. And then when she started dealing with causing problems in Kargaz, we basically made a deal so that they would leave and we wouldn't have to deal with a giant bandit group that had us surrounded on all sides, and there were only 3 of us. And now they're over here, and we probably shouldn't make just another deal for them to go bother someone else.
Or we could deal with the problem.
Yeah, that's why I said probably not make a deal, just so that they will go and deal with go somewhere else.
Case where we could make a deal, and I was like, no, we did that before. Okay.
This can has been kicked forward twice so far.
Yeah, no more can kicking. But can kicking is not being recommended. I just can't parse.
It sounds like the plan is at least wait a decent chunk of time and investigate before moving out on this. Is that
Just a few days so that Aiden doesn't look like a productive member of society. Because apparently he's doing very productive things while he's slacking off. And those productive things are directly offensive to the Church of the Turkey. And this seems in line with everything on a religious level.
Yeah.
He's also not wasting his time. And he will complete his orders. I do think that he needs to tell his bosses the truth, but like that's not a whole party conversation. That's me telling his bosses while he's not looking conversation.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So that sounds good to me. Does that sound good to everyone else?
Seems like it.
Yeah, that seems fine.
So this, do we know about? I'm always confused about how much we know about Victor's involvement with Revenants, because we do know that he vaguely knows about Revenant magic, because he's been able to tell us some stuff about Revenants before.
Hey, Dave, there's a question for you.
Yeah, so the best answer to that would be Victor tries to be an ally,
Yeah.
and
Discord's not a.
Dave has been too lazy to actually like do a lot between sessions, and the party hasn't done a whole lot with Revenants.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of the other quote was, Dave, you were like, I wanted this to be more political, and then 2020 happened.
Kinda, yeah.
But I'm just wondering how much we know about your involvement with Revenants at this point, because you guys are like a Revenant activist group, right?
Earth. That's probably there. There is a subset of the folks at Earth Movers who would fall into that category. Yes. It's not like they. That's sort of a side thing in addition to like their actual work.
Okay. I'm just wondering if we know if we should be talking to you to leverage help.
You should probably know that. Know that
Okay.
that I have at the very least, you would know that it's an issue that I care about, and so you'd presumably mention it, and then I'd pull in contacts and so on. Of course, I don't actually have the contacts advantage, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Ricky, one thing Iric would notice after getting back into the city for the first time in close to 2 months, it's not looking good on the street. In the sense that, like, it's not lively, people are stressed. Lots of establishments don't have too much patron. And you aren't seeing, like, basically any of the Risen out and about.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the Risen are basically being forced into hiding / out of town. It's pretty bad.
So in the meantime, while we're waiting to move out, is there anything that we can do to help the situation here?
You have just found the central question that has consumed so much failed planning time over the last, 3 sessions.
Yep.
This is sort of why I've been saying is, like, you guys have the agency and protagonist ball. What you do with it is the question. Can you help? Oh, certainly. There's things you can help with. How and what do you do is the question.
So where are all of the Risen? So that there's an issue with this bandit and that's causing a problem. But if she's not here right now, why is everyone hiding?
Oh, crime. Like, crime, and most people don't have money.
And it's also crime in the sense of there's lots of protection money increases, lots of basically accidental muggings that totally aren't targeted at the Risen population. And the guards are doing fuck all about this.
We should do something about the guard.
An important thing you guys found out that might have gotten glossed over, but like everyone is in character. There are people smart enough to say it is. One of the big problems is the city's leadership recognizes there's a problem, but has no idea what the source is.
And isn't willing to listen to us without more proof. Hence the whole let's lure the cops to the on-fire warehouse where they're storing the shit plan that ended so well.
Victor, what would you think about organizing a watch from the Risen?
Nick, are they not already doing that?
Oh, they are. They are. A lot of them actually just left town. Like when the big thing that the Turkey is doing is basically spreading the idea that they're unclean, not dependable, and will make other people sick. So jobs that they had kind of dried up.
Oh, okay. This is tricky.
A thing for you, the player, to be able to make plans that is another major confounding factor. The mob that moved in, this leader, has been doing a lot of seeming philanthropy and getting in good with a lot of local nobility and helping people fund construction.
A lot of this has become it has entered the court of public opinion, which is why propaganda is very important to get done.
Okay.
Like people are hurting a lot, and at the bottom level, everyone knows there's a lot of like weird stuff going on around crime.
Also, the fact that everyone's poor means everyone's reliant on Church of the Turkey handouts.
Yeah, the Church of the Turkey rolled in and started giving lots of like aid to people, and then pressing their own propaganda.
Do I have any jurisdiction here?
Mm-hmm.
And you said that the guard isn't on it, didn't you?
Yep.
Well, the main
varying values of it, yes.
The main reason the guard hasn't stepped in and most people haven't done anything is because it looks bad to say stop doing what you're doing when what you're doing is, charity work for poor people.
Basically, the poorest people are getting a bunch of charity. The like upper, lower class, lower middle class are getting squeezed by crime. And I think the group knows is that they're purposefully not targeting any families with major connections. It's like Agne's family has been completely left alone.
Okay.
Which is not helping matters in regards to people on the street fighting each other and accusing each other of things.
Which is also why the local lord knew nothing about it, because they didn't go after the local lord.
Have you spoken to the local lord?
I told his daughter.
Okay. It sounds like we should speak to the guard next.
Okay. I'm part of the
If I
guard.
were determining what to do here.
I'm part of the guard.
And
Taryn is a member of the guard.
okay.
What do you want me to do?
And there may still be value, Victor, if you wanted to try to organize some of the people who are being squeezed. If there is no effective city guard, a civilian guard would be the next best thing.
That sounds good. I think there's at least some smaller scale attempts at that going on, like in specific neighborhoods. But I agree, if the official organs of society have failed, and it's time to replace them with our own.
Yeah, one problem that Iric in particular would know is, but most guards do not have the staffing to patrol the entire city, like flat out. And this one definitely does.
It's okay.
And the problem is when there's crime everywhere.
All we need is them to stop being corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the bigger problem that I'm looking at is that they are actively participating. When they stop actively participating, there will be less crime because they will not be doing
They are mostly just overlooking people smuggling things.
that is participating.
But Sir Iric, I thought you said you wanted coffee.
I do. We're not talking about coffee, are we?
Well, that's
Coffee is basically the gateway drug for heavier smuggling.
Like, a bunch of coffee also got seized in that raid that found the ruse.
Yes, if it was just coffee, I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like they're actively targeting populations.
Yeah,
And
but
running
see,
protection campaigns. Protection campaigns are very different than coffee smuggling.
Mm-hmm.
So we get them on everything we can because they're doing something that matters. Coffee smuggling doesn't matter.
the problem is that basically the guard basically started working with the criminal groups of the "we'll let you smuggle coffee in," and then it became the problem of, okay, now that you're smuggling other stuff in, well, I also already can lose my job because I was letting you smuggle the coffee in, so now you basically have blackmail on me.
Can we take them down for all of it if that's how it has to be? I think that we can get in the ring with this and do something if we want to. If we need some time before we go deal with the bandits, I think we have a solid footing to at least begin to work on this.
Probably. We mostly kept getting stuck on how we actually solve this problem, and then we just went with the plan arson.
Arson did work.
Plan arson plus make it someone else's problem.
That was an Aiden plan.
The make it someone else's problem was my plan. And that's why there's more Knights of the Order of the Rose in the area. Actually, out of curiosity, has my superior called even more backup after that happened?
It's been a day and a half.
Yeah, but you can still send out a letter. Is he basically going to be calling backup, or is he going to be mostly doing things with the retinue of knights that he has?
Oh no, like, you know he's gonna call back up at some point, but like, it's been a day and a half.
I don't remember how long it takes for someone to go and write a letter saying, hey, I need you to send more knights to this area.
Mm-hmm.
I'd assume you want to send that letter sooner than later, because it takes time for them to travel.
It also takes time for him to figure out how deep things are because you didn't tell him any of that.
Yeah, does someone else want to leak that information to him, so I don't have to?
I'm probably going to go talk to his boss anyway.
Yeah. One thing that... Oh, actually, Ricky, one thing that Iric would probably also get from the party, because you guys talked about it again, but recaps are hard, is one of the issues are the main people actually organizing all the crime are... There's basically no evidence on it.
Oh, no, I caught that.
Mm-hmm.
I got that.
So they've been trying to figure out how to actually hit the hen.
I think you start with the guard. Because if the guards stop looking the other way, eventually there will be evidence. Someone will mess up. Right?
I've already messed up, Sir Iric.
We'll talk about that later.
I have to buy a break. I'll be right back.
Do. So how's everybody doing tonight? Because I'm a warrior.
Doing all right.
Other than the fact that at the end of the day I broke the pair of headphones I use for work.
Oof.
Yeah, that's annoying. I think they originally came with a 2-year warranty, so I have no idea if they're still under warranty because they're headphones I checked out from work. Because when the thing went, I'm like, I don't have a good headset. I'm allowed to check out a headset from work. I'm checking out a headset from work. Which
Legit.
has been like about 9 months now.
For what it's worth, I have gotten headphones through work that are that are supposed to be 2 years. One pair just stopped working, and the pads got really grody and fell off. So I just bought a new pair of pads on Amazon, and turns out it's really easy to replace those.
One very odd thing happened today. I found out that apparently the KFC console is a thing that's actually going to exist.
Wait, they're
what?
actually doing that?
They're actually doing that. So KFC partnered with Cooler Master to make a fucking like custom chassis for a gaming PC that has a chicken heating compartment. Presumably the heat from the case exhausts into the chicken compartment.
I was so confused when you first said chicken heating compartment, and I thought you meant it was a gaming rig that doubled as like a hatchling incubator.
I mean, you might be able to use it for that. I don't know what the temperatures are like.
Just for a bit. All right. Also, for game, it sounds like I'm just going to have a conversation with Aiden's superior, and beyond that, it is sort of do the same plan.
I mean, I've suggested, and I think Victor was like, "Yeah, let's organize."
Yes.
This.
Okay.
And then also, I wanted to go take people to talk to the guard to be like, "Listen, which one of you fuckers is dirty?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I will rain down hell from not a very high height because I don't have that, but you don't need to know that.
This also
I have rank and jurisdiction. That's all I've got.
I'm sure we can find a box if necessary, because boxes are in right now.
It's true.
Yep.
Boxes are in right now.
Boxes are in right now. You stand on them and you look taller.
Stand on that soap.
I will find
soapboxes.
the source of this.
Yep, you should. It's hilarious. Okay. While you do that, that's one of the big ones out of the way. Of Iric talks to Sir Hubert.
Okay.
Who he rented a cottage in the city.
Is Sir Hubert the leader of the Rose?
Not
He's
the
not-
leader, but like
Oh,
my boss.
He's the regional commander.
Okay. I will knock on the door.
are you?
I have
Bringing,
not sent anyone ahead of me.
Are you bringing your squire with you?
Sure, because we'll probably head straight from here to go talk to the guard. And also, I don't want to let you out of my sight because apparently you now commit triple homicides. And the rest of them
Are you going to bring that up to me, or are you just going to?
No, whenever you say anything about like I messed up, he's just like, we'll talk about it later. because he doesn't know what to do.
Whatever you say, Sir Eirik, Taryn will, toss his bags back so they drift back in front of his eyes.
Potentially, I might recommend not taking Taryn with to see the Order of the Rose, because while we disguise Taryn, we don't want him getting arrested for arson, because he partially matches what they believe the suspect looked like.
That person should also, be bleeding out and mostly dead right now, and I'm perfectly
They
happy.
should, but
I'm also not entirely sure why we're hiding the fact that we did what we did. And also, I'm literally going to talk to him about planned arson. Like, that's what I'm going to talk to him about.
Alright.
Aiden is more competent than you think he is. He's just like, don't you ever say that in my presence again.
Who is?
That's probably what Sir Hubert is going to say to you.
Alright.
the idea that Aiden actually knows what he's doing and isn't just relying on dumb luck
Yeah.
is a terrifying thought.
Yep, so, one of his pages is going to answer the door and, ask who it is. Eric looks like someone who actually might have business here.
Despite the fact that my squire is... I'm going to say... What is my current status?
You are still technically bodyguard to Aiden.
Yeah. We haven't solved that we haven't given a final decision on that problem, and technically I'm the one who got a temp status boost that has never come up yet.
I'm not sure if Eirik has a last name on his character sheet.
Eirik at one point had a last
Davos.
Davos. Okay, I was going to say, my name is Eirik Davos. I would like to speak to Sir Hubert.
Just one moment, sir. Paige closes the door and leaves. Okay, to be fair, this person's like 11.
Oh, I know. So he just gets the look of, my soul just left my actual I'm still not a knight.
Yeah, but you're old enough that rated young children are going to serve you no matter what.
I know. It's fine.
You look perplexed, Sir Eirik.
Speaking of young children,
The soulless look that is aimed at the door slowly slides over to Taryn, does not change at all, and slides back to the door.
Yep, you guys are welcome. They say that he's just taking a moment to finish something up. We'll see you shortly, and indeed, you get seen shortly.
Fantastic.
He is behind a very rudimentary desk with a ton of papers on it.
I'm going to do one of those, like, I get it signs and, like, nod empathetically and say, good morning, Sir Hubert.
Morning, Marshal Davos.
This is fun. This is a good thing. I came to speak to you about Lord Aiden and his service in the Order of the Rose.
Has his father finally decided to take more stringent measures about his behavior?
No, I was hoping you would.
I found myself quite unable to control Lord Aiden's proclivities.
Which proclivities?
The drinking, whoring, and causing damage to public buildings.
He does do those things, Sir Eirik.
No, about it.
I would like to say I improved public buildings by giving them hedge mazes.
So what do you know that he's done? I'm trying to suss out situation. As you know, I've been laid up for a couple of months.
He just pulls out his papers. The complaints about some Sir Aiden's behavior in the past.
Now, are these generally limited to inns?
Inns, taverns, one instance of a town square.
Are there any instances of warehouses?
Not that I recall.
It may behoove you to keep a closer eye on New Night.
Oh, here it comes. I can feel it.
So far, he has performed adequately at everything we've sent him to. we try to keep a close eye on him. This resulted in more challenges than anyone would like to admit. And so we've been trying to find quests and aid that someone with Lord Aiden's particular skill set can assist with. To send him to.
Without speaking to things that you should already know about, you should know that he is far more capable.
I am aware of this and it is infuriating.
He needs a challenge, and it is beyond me to instill any sense of honor in him, as I answer to him, but he answers to you.
Only in the most technical term does he answer to me.
And only in the most technical term do I answer to him, but it matters.
Well, I do hope that he can handle the current problem that the Sun Guard is incapable of handling.
And which one is that?
This bandit who slips through the forest, and we've heard many reports on, but there are other problems out west to also deal with.
And have
Given
you
his affinity for natural magic, we thought this would be almost ideal for him to handle.
And have you been doing anything to deal with the local situation?
Well, I became aware of it about a day and a half ago.
Doing as of now.
He's just going to point to several papers of trying to figure out what's actually happening.
Very well.
There is something deeper than just one member of the Church of the Turkey selling rubies to someone. I'm not yet sure what that is. There are several people who need to be questioned still.
What's the information they want to have something to say?
Hey guys, what was the information?
What should I tell him? You guys wanted me to pass on some information.
Probably which people we believe are the ones that are important, and basically where smuggling happens, who we think is involved, but we can't find any proof on.
Okay, I'll assume I've gotten that from what you guys told me back at the place. So I'll say, if you had had a closer eye on Lord Aiden, you would be aware of the extent of his investigation and provide those names.
He's just going to sit there, stare at that list for a moment. I would really prefer if some of these names were not, in fact, involved in this.
And I would very much prefer if I hadn't returned to a town after well over a month of bed rest to find that the entire town's guard was apparently corrupt to the point where citizens could be run out. But
That is something else that
we don't get what we want.
that is something that we became. The list of people who I wanted to speak to, well, thank you for your list. It is maybe 10% larger now.
And he gave me new names?
No, the names that you gave him, he's like, you gave him like 6 or 7 names, and he's like, that might increase the list of people I want to talk to by 10%.
We would appreciate any reciprocal cooperation.
You know about as much about this bandit as I do.
Apparently, we know approximately 10% of what we know.
Well, I did get a roll of the town guard and found that several of the wagons that had passed through went through their checkpoints, so talking to them and their commanders was first on the list.
I intended to head that way as well.
An important thing on the list is the actual bishop of the church here.
I'm afraid that's quite beyond me. I worship the goose.
Yes, well, I pray that this is an accusation without merit. I will look into it, but
I would not put much hope on that prayer.
Well, then I hope, if you are correct, that he is sloppy enough that something definitive comes of it.
That's a good hope. Well, I'll give him where our lodging is in case he needs to reach out to us.
You got it.
I don't actually know how he's supposed to get in touch with us.
You send letters.
Yes. To our lodgings.
Yep.
And then I
To
will
Aiden's villa.
rally Terran from wherever he's causing mischief.
I'm standing right next to you.
Oh, hey, he's behaving himself.
There was a very shiny object in the room.
Hold on a second.
And a very nice sword that was like overall in Sir Hubert's sword rack.
For now.
Let's see. What did I fail? Failed that. No. Pass. Okay. I go over and I look, but I don't touch.
That's fine.
Like, you might see me out of the corner of my eye, like, staring at my reflection and then trying to lick my reflection in his sword.
Is your apprentice all right, Marshall?
Sorry, I got a PM. What's going on with Terran?
He's almost trying to lick Sir Hubert's sword.
I'm just gonna slowly reach out.
Not the one on his belt.
And pull him back away from the sword. And say, I apologize. It's simple, lad. Terran.
Yes, Sir
Terran,
Eirik.
let's go.
But Sir Eirik, that sword is so much shinier than my swords.
If you took better care of your swords.
I am
They
taking better care of my swords, Sir Eirik.
The sword that I gave you could be that shiny. It's a good sword. I wielded it for years.
So Taryn's going to pull out his sword, and you're going to notice like one side of it is probably like really clean and sparkly, and like sharpened, and the other side probably isn't.
There's just this like long, deep sigh from the core of his existence, and he looks to Sir Hubert for empathy.
He's getting it.
And he just slowly shakes his head and says, Your weapons maintenance is improving.
Well, thank you, Sir Eirik. I try.
Just clean on one side. That's progress. And I hate that that's progress. All right.
Meantime, is anyone joining Victor for rustling up or trying to organize like militias and watches?
I can join for that, I guess.
Can we flip over to one of the other groups? I want to take a quick break for food.
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
Let's go with going to talk to the guard then.
Meaning we continue keeping the focus on Ricky on her day back.
I mean, it is. Does Kristoff want to go wander into the woods?
Sure.
He specifically sent Taryn to go do that, and then Taryn didn't do that.
Taryn got
Yeah,
distracted.
they will be more likely to make Terran do it.
I mean, you can bring Thief Terran with him. You do still have Thief Terran vaguely on retainer for a while.
I'm sure
We
there's
paid
also-
very well for getting Thief Terran on retainer.
Like, if I knew anything about your character, which I don't, I would say that there's probably a lot you could do with the organized crime in the area. But I don't know anything, so.
Yeah, weren't we going to have the organized crime in the area put pressure on the other organized crime in the area when they were having problems with the attract extra attention from the knights in the guard?
Yes, Kristoff sent a letter 3 days ago to really far down south.
Yep.
Time is a thing.
Yep, it's a very slow.
Aren't any of them
moving
located in the city?
I mean, Christoph knows the guy who's in the city. He's not in charge of, like, getting new dudes. The boss is in charge of that. Yeah. But it'll be a bit, so Christoph and Thief Tyrion go into the woods.
Sounds good.
Alright. And the big thing is, what are you guys trying to do? Whether it's like go scout out towns and villages or just literally wander through the woods trying to track down a large group?
I mean, it's competent Terran, so I assume it's going to be the former.
Okay.
What
Do you
item do you
have-
guys keep stealing and pickpocketing off of each other?
Alright,
Oh, did
Give me the same coin.
Did you just get it back from me? I had to stand up for a minute.
Well, let's find out.
Crap! Hold on. I need to pull open Thief Terran's sheet.
yeah. I was going to say, I definitely need carousing or streetwise from both of them.
Hold on. Gotta roll pickpocket first. More important.
Wait,
I mean,
why carousing?
Whoa, the wrong thing, didn't I? Whoa.
I mean, if Aiden had joined them for this, Aiden would be allowed to roll carousing, but Aiden's trying to organize militia.
And propaganda.
And it's propaganda.
13 on my observation.
Can't forget the propaganda.
Propaganda is important.
I match that. I'm just gonna say you get it because I was probably distracted when you went for the attempt.
Fair enough. Pass by 2 on streetwise.
Alright. I'm going to say this one's probably going to take a few days of you guys doing investigation and talking to a bunch of people.
Okay.
At least you got time for that letter to come back, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of ground to cover in a county where you're like, we don't know where they are. The first few towns that Christoph and Thief Terran hit, I mean, everyone's aware to some extent of the bandit problem. How recently have out-of-towners showed up to offload a lot of money and or nice things varies. But you eventually do find that there, at least most recently, you think somebody came into a little northeastern village and spent a great deal of money there, and that's actually one of the consistent themes you guys are seeing when you're going out into the outlying areas, especially when you get near the border, is that these towns haven't been getting plagued by bandits. They've only been having, like, surprisingly generous out-of-towners come in and drop off a lot of money.
Do they buy something, or do they specifically just, like, give donations?
They buy something. Like, they pay way more than they really need to for whatever they're getting. And, like, sometimes there's... And this is where the Streetwise comes in. Sometimes there's very obviously stolen things that get sold for basically nothing or gifted to people while this group comes in, spends a night partying, and then leaves.
How often do they do that?
No, that's the thing. It's not very often. Like, over the past 3 or 4 months, almost every little area, almost every major town outside of the big city in the area has been visited at least once. But, like, it's not consistent. And also, one thing that you guys quickly realize is covering a lot of distance. They're covering way more distance than they ought to be if they're leading a troop around on foot.
You think there's a kind of magic that can easily move an entire group this large? You're the mage.
Well, that's a good question. How do I roll for that?
Fun mythology.
I have that too.
Oh, this is a really good roll. Passed by 6.
I passed by 3.
So, I mean, there shouldn't be something that good in earth magic. That's usually different schools of magic, but, you know, magic like that exists.
I mean, you're not necessarily the only mage in his group.
It's a sort of thing where, like, a large sized group like that, though, it's got to be a pretty powerful mage doing it.
She seemed like a pretty powerful mage when we ran across her that one time. Gave your friend Victor a run for his money when they were both trying to control the same little bit of earth in that forest, if I'm remembering right.
That's true, although you wouldn't normally expect that kind of an earth mage of that skill level to also have extremely powerful teleportation magic.
I mean, didn't you discover that she was branching out? Wasn't one of those books that you guys found on her necromancy?
It's true. That could be a bigger problem than we thought.
In terms of schools of magic that you know can do stuff like this, I mean, there's obviously the movement school. That's the most direct. Actual teleportation, not really a thing outside of myths and legends. At least not at large scale.
Yet.
Mm-hmm. Plant magic can do some of it too.
Soul Charge are nasty.
I mean, out of character, I have an idea, but I don't think this Terran would know to make the suggestion.
You could make a suggestion to Dan if it's something Kristoff would probably think of.
Thief Terran does not have this information.
Oh, okay. Presumably you two are going to come back and regroup.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Mm-hmm. But no, like, one of the bigger problems is it's actually really hard for you guys to get a lot of the, like, outlying towns and villages to report information about these guys because they're like, they don't bother us. They show up and spend lots of money here. If they're robbing just the rich city folk and the foreigners, why do we care?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. See, what's the description of what's happening again?
So it's the wealthier merchants or people dealing in like luxury goods.
I mean the transportation thing.
It's when you're looking like going from town to town and like piece together a where have they been? You're like, they get there fast.
Okay.
Like it's not ridiculous, like going from one end of the county to the other in a day or something. It's just they're dramatically outpacing what people on foot should be doing, or even people with like light standings.
Right. I mean, for people who were like attacked or anything like that, do they know? anything weird or anything memorable about the bandits themselves?
And the big thing is, like, frequently, like, walls just get conjured in the middle of the road and trap them.
Okay.
That's the big thing, is that everyone who's getting robbed is like, this bandit's like a mid-sized group of bandits, but it's being led by a really powerful mage from the perspective of everyone getting robbed.
Right.
This almost sounds like something that make more sense to set a trap for them and make them find us.
Probably, yeah. Set up some kind of caravan that they think is a juicy target. The only problem there is means we can't necessarily dictate the battlefield.
I mean, we wouldn't be able to if we're trying to locate them anyway. It's wherever they're either going to set up camp or it's wherever they're going to hit us. At least if we...
No, but in that case, we can set traps and pick what angle to attack from.
The best we could probably do then is pick a path where we have an advantage to some degree. Anywhere on the path.
Yeah, but that's hard to do. You can only make so many guarantees with roads.
I mean, especially considering, like,
if they can manipulate the battle. Especially if they can manipulate Earth as well or better than Victor.
you've got 20 to 40 miles of road, depending on what you're doing, for where you found reports of where they've been hitting people.
Yeah, so there's no way to confirm that the path we take is going to be advantageous for us.
Well, setting traps for other people is kind of out of my wheelhouse.
I mean, closest thing I could think of would be we could try to trap some of the fake goods that we have. But that's only going to do so much, especially because we can't really let them take us prisoner and start grabbing stuff.
Right.
I think the correct answer might be maybe can I do like a navigation or a tracking roll?
You may roll tracking.
Okay, he does have tracking. Pass by 1.
Nope.
Didn't think so.
You're just like nothing. Even though you're in where you knew they were recently, you're like, I can't find anything in this forest.
So that means they're not only moving quickly, but they're also covering their tracks. That's not nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And thaumaturgy would covering your tracks while moving quickly also be in the mobility tree?
Not covering your tracks, but also, like, you've just seen Aiden do that spell.
Yeah. So, plants. It looks like whoever, they either have gotten more mages or Kaylin is branching out. Because that looks like 1, possibly 2 more schools of magic. I thought it took years to learn a new school.
It normally does.
What makes her so special?
A lot of really ancient magical textbooks of very high quality.
That's true. If you have a good enough source, they can definitely kind of help you cheat the process.
Right. If you are you guys still in the woods, or have you returned back to town?
Yeah, I think we have to head back to town because we've kind of gotten a cold trail.
Yeah, sorry.
you've gotten important information that you can now report back to the group.
Yep.
Group, does anyone have additional questions or statements you would like to make about the problem?
I said I missed most of what they were doing. I
Okay.
had to step away from laptop for a moment.
I mean, basically, the bandits are probably going to be too hard to track. They kind of come in much more suddenly than they really should realistically be able to if they were moving by just regular means. Put up walls, hit the targets fast, get out. So we're probably going to have to make a juicy target and then counterattack.
Unless somebody has a tracking spell.
I mean, as said before, can ask the trees.
Right, you can do that.
If you want to go out and ask the trees, please roll for asking the trees.
So, is that I eventually get the spell and then I have to roll diplomacy skills against the trees?
Yes, that is absolutely that.
Okay. I assume that the trees do not care about my physical appearance, my rank, or my status.
They care about none of those now.
So I probably am just gonna roll against straight up intimidation.
Okay.
Is plus intimidation plus charisma, which is a pass by 4.
Okay. You can just close the door with that still on it, Ricky. Yeah. That just hung over the door. I pulled the pull-up bar down. Okay, sorry. So, it takes Aiden a decent chunk of time to find trees when to talk because, well, someone else has spoken to them and asked them to not talk.
That's why I'm rolling intimidation.
Exactly. And they will say you definitely have more impressive fire than the people who asked them to not talk about everyone who passed by. I'm assuming you're basically going out with Kristoff and Thief Terran towards most recent area.
Oh yeah, and I'm definitely not walking into the woods to talk to plants on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Though you guys will probably notice me both set a plant on fire, then heal the plant, then set the plant on fire again if I start to not get questions answered.
Does he do this a lot?
There's also only so many times you can do that before you don't have a plant anymore.
I'm able to heal plants.
Okay.
I'll leave the plant back in the condition I found it in. Or better.
All right. Yeah. You eventually get information that, something like 30, 40 people keep going through under pretty powerful magic effects. Surprising basically no one there.
Can I get kind of what direction they're heading towards, or like what direction they go back to for like where their home base is, or how exactly they move so fast?
The trees don't know how they move so fast.
Well, then I guess just directions on where they came from, where they go, as much as possible.
Okay. You can definitely find the most recent one. You do get the answer that Paolin and Braun are the two who were asking them to just not report things.
Oh, so other people have gotten magic powers.
Brawn.
I was talking to Trees.
BRAN.
BRA with like a symbol above it, N. You can act that mark. And you know roughly where their camp was going towards for that.
Tequila. How did we get on this?
Because we silly. For more prep things, Victor, which is the plan? Because I think it's time for some private text for people.
Yeah, I was just gonna go find some community leaders among the risen and see what they're doing and if they can be better organized.
Oh,
Not have much of a plan beyond that.
all right. I mean, Franz is one of them. And he's more than happy to talk. He's stuck around. He's actually been trying to hire more risen, even those who don't quite have the right skills, just to keep them going. One thing that he brings up is he actually has lost a lot of people to, like, people went out into the other towns, like, when they lost their jobs and needed to go find somewhere that wasn't as full of turkey propaganda. And, like, going out and helping on a farm, it's a pretty solid thing to do.
Yeah, no arguments there.
But one thing he's worried about is some of them are still there. A bunch of them, when he went back to check, the farmer said that they basically left, said that they found something nicer to do. Or something better to do.
And the farming?
Yeah.
Huh. Have any of them come back to the city since then?
No.
Oh boy.
And he's also someone who's aware of the amount of crime going on in these parts, and he's real worried that they're getting caught up in it.
Yeah.
But besides that, he's been doing his best to try and find places to keep people safe. Bigger issue in his mind right now, at least from the perspective of the Risen, is finding anyone willing to hire them.
Yeah, that's legit. Yeah, that's legit. But
Just ask you what ideas Victor has.
yeah. am unfortunately not coming up with much, at least from this guy. I could try and pull on the thread of these missing folk, of these missing risen. But I was also wanting to talk to like risen community leaders specifically.
That's what I was saying. That Franz is like the prominent risen merchant in the area.
I had not realized he was a merchant. A risen.
You met him when he was just a torso.
Well. And yeah, I guess I'll go try to pull on that thread.
Yeah. He has a long list of people and like what they're good at, that if you know anyone who needs help, he's got people who are willing to do work.
That sounds okay. So he's got a labor force available.
Yeah. He's got a labor force, but he doesn't have enough money or know how to actually do much with a lot of what they're good at.
And what is that?
So he's mostly been recruiting from the risen who were like in their lives had some mostly like manual skill, not artisan level, but competent smiths, people who know woodworking.
Yep.
Like, he has people who have enough savings that they're trying to weather this rather than leaving.
Okay.
And like can point you in the direction of where those who left went, at least the ones that he was keeping track of.
Okay. We can follow up in that direction. Does local earth movers have any projects that could use like additional, not quite it's better than manual labor, but it's also like physical construction?
They always have some. The turkey is the problem there, in that like they've mostly dried up because of how much they have to fight the turkey for every job right now.
Yeah, see, what I was thinking is if Earth Movers has any spare money themselves, this would be a good time to like renovate their own building.
Now that's an idea you could bring up, because they do have some spare money. They still have some spare money. There is also the fact that you are technically one of the leaders of one of the halls and have like the rank to say, I can take some people on out here if they're willing to head out to Cargas.
Yeah. That is a thing that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if we have a fairly large collection of risen without a whole lot to do right now, it might not be a bad idea to like protest. Mm-hmm. If we can figure out the right time and place.
Yep. That is usually organized. I was gonna say, like, one thing you could also do, get someone to talk to them about, I don't know, you have a large number of people who are reasonably strong and skilled at some things, who could keep watch for others.
I thought you said earlier they were already doing that.
Yeah.
They're doing that for themselves.
But like organizing is about that. I thought you said they already organized.
They're organizing watch for like themselves in their own buildings and nothing else.
So if we get them to do things for other buildings as well, though, then that will improve people's feelings of it, because, hey, the Risen are now not just there, but they're the ones that protect you.
Yeah, like, getting some of them to, or those who feel comfortable to, like, help out against, say, all the crime that's happening.
Worth a shot. We. The tricky part is the guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know they're understaffed, but that. Cops don't like it when you set up parallel police forces.
Nope.
And.
We've already brought in a second parallel police force.
Yeah, but that was.
Sean,
was
you're the
over-
you brought the FBI in.
Yeah.
Like the Knights are not a parallel police force; they exist separately.
Separate
they
and
are
independent.
They are still a governmental organ. So I'd say go for it, but keep it small and be careful.
Okay.
And if there's run-ins with the guard, let me know, and I'll bring in the rest of the party.
Okay. For the guard, Eric and Taryn,
Yes.
we're talking to the guard about things. What are you gonna do?
I would like to ask Taryn to take me to his superiors. Because I would both like to offer my condolences and use them. I need to talk to him.
All right. I mean, Taryn can easily bring you to Sir Ken's office.
Wait, are we back in where we started?
Yeah. That's where all these problems have been.
Sir Ken.
Is Sir Ken desperately struggling against Sir Ryu?
Yes.
Oh, Sir Iric, you've met Sir Ken.
I have. Sir Ken, how are you?
He's Concision's son.
It's been 8 months. It looks like he's aged 3 years.
Ooh.
Okay. Orson. Isn't he one of the guys who's in line for the lordship?
Yes.
Is that why he's aged?
It's one of many reasons.
I mean, his dad also got sentenced to death, so.
Yeah, his dad was found guilty of treason, basically.
Wait, who was his dad?
The Chamberlain.
Chamberlain. I'm
Concision.
not good with names. So when they gave me his name, I was like,
Yeah.
then never mind, I wouldn't have asked because I already know. I would say, Sir Ken, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Marshal. He just looks at him. Really, please tell me he has not done anything foolish.
This week.
That isn't what we're.
I didn't do anything that I wasn't told to do, Sir Ken.
He
Taryn
just
says,
sighs, ups his temples. I'm sure he'll hear about it by tomorrow.
I didn't do anything, Sir Ken. He said, I'm going to whip my hair around so my bangs fall in front of my eyes.
Huh?
Stop trying to be an emo teenager.
What did you say, Izzy?
As I say that, I'm going to whip my hair around so my bangs fall in front of my eyes.
What did you say, though?
Oh, I said...
Yeah, we just...
I said, I haven't done anything that I wasn't told to do. I've been good.
He is actually just going to look to Iric for confirmation on that.
Iric is going to make that same dead soul look that he did earlier. And admit absolutely nothing.
Ken is just going to nod in understanding.
He's going to say, first and foremost, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I never imagined anything like that might have happened.
It was unimaginable.
It's away from home for too long.
I've heard you being considered.
People have said that. I'm a bit surprised, in all honesty.
You want the type?
I'd like to do what's good for Karkaz. If that means taking the title and figuring out how to fix this, then that's what that means. If that means stepping aside, then that's what it means.
Understood. It has come to our notice that there are some serious issues in the town.
Which one?
Fair question. There appears to be an organized crime group running with the Church of the Turkey to do some relatively serious smuggling. We're not talking coffee, we're talking about heavier products. No, sorry, anymore.
You can still say things like opium. Those are still generally illegal.
I'm inventing that they're smuggling opium.
I don't know anything about no
they
opium
are-
smuggling, Sir Eirik. Taran goes and licks a shoe. His eyes dilate.
They are. I mean, gems are also pretty literally heavier than coffee, and
True.
they're definitely smuggling those.
Well, found out about that one about 2 days ago.
And apparently some members of the guard have been covering it up.
We've known... Okay. Marshall, I'm not sure how everything was down south or where you came from.
How is it here?
Looks at one of his pages, page closes the door. No one here cares about coffee. If I had to take down merchants for bringing coffee and our guardsmen for stopping it, we'd have no guard and no merchants.
She's gonna let the silence grow out just like slightly uncomfortably. He's gonna say, Sir Ken, you don't care about coffee,
Okay. Because I know, and I have known for years now, ever since that stupid ban was put into effect, that people were looking up the other way. I don't know what changed a few months ago when all the other problems started happening. There weren't really problems for years. And now they're on. And he briefly looks at Taryn. I don't quite have the staff the men to figure out what's going wrong.
I could do it. I could do it, Sir Ken.
Eric, probably to Sir Ken's dismay, looks to Taryn and say, does that match up with the timeline for the bandit coming back through town?
Oh no, that one's more recent.
Okay.
And I think it started with that silver crisis.
Oh, the one up in the bag.
The one where his lordship hit that trick, along with the church, had to generously give a lot of money to keep people from losing their lodgings and their family trades.
What is this? Have I heard about this before?
This was the silver thing, where a bunch of merchants here speculated on buying cheap silver, and it was fake.
Wait, there was a speculation that crashed the economy.
Yeah, you guys made it less bad than it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. We did our best to keep it from crashing the economy, but we
Okay.
kind of went, yeah, that's probably good enough, and walked away.
It's the sort of thing where you took something that would have been in equivalent terms, you turned a full-blown depression into a deep recession.
Okay. That's fair.
We probably should have followed it.
I just like half made the connection, and then they were like, but charity, and I was like, what? I just remember destroying a mine.
Yeah, you guys took the other end of that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess next I would say, so what is it that you intend to do about it? Your men are looking away from a lot more than coffee now.
Yes, and I don't know which of them are. They and their commanders have been looking away from a lot for a while. Dame Williamine and I have been trying to figure out who's actually trustworthy.
Okay, so it's a matter of... It's not common knowledge.
No, for who's looking away from things more serious, no. I'm half tempted to just say, out with it, coffee, we're stopping everything now, coffee included, but I fear there'd be riots.
Iric nods knowingly. That makes sense.
With the, I'm actually very glad the Order of Rose came in to at least start pulling at some of this.
They do have a list of suspected names. I would be happy to lend my assistance. I've managed a guard for a very long time, and I like to think I can tell when someone's lying to me.
Sir Iric's very good at what he does.
How would you ask them without your own men mutinying?
How would I ask without...
Trying to fish out who has been ignoring something more serious, because I'm not sure if you've seen how the streets are, but his lordship, among others, are very worried that if they press too hard, people are going to come after them.
Well, I happen to not be a part of your guard, nor do I answer to your lord in particular, and I'm not a member of your organization. My pressure comes from the outside just like everyone else's.
If you could find me a list that is of people who have been messing up, but if you could find someone who's those who are relatively clean, that's even better. But I'm not sure how much I can do without them outright ignoring me as well, given how much we turned a blind eye to everything before.
I've never turned a blind eye.
You've also taken coffee.
I've what?
You've taken coffee.
I didn't know what it was.
He can't have coffee.
Great. I'll say, Taryn, no, you have never turned a blind eye to anything you noticed.
Taryn looks very pleased at himself.
Yeah, I was just accusing him of things to make everyone in the room comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
He understands that Taryn didn't do anything he knew was wrong.
Yeah, that would require Taryn to know things.
Yeah.
And if we've learned something over the course of this game, it's Taryn doesn't learn things quickly.
So, it's one thing that if you know any information, it would be wonderful to hear, Marshall, or if we can get some support from down south. Heard that there were several groups of barbarians heading our way from the west, apparently angry at one of our members.
Do you know which member and do you know which bandits?
Not bandits, these are barbarians of Brugalia. Those are the ones you guys dealt with out near Kargaz.
That had wyverns?
That live near wyverns. That you sent the Chamberlain and Dalvin to.
Mad at this town. They're not anywhere near us doing that.
Yeah, why would they be mad at this town? Didn't we make them not
I
mad?
don't know. From what I've heard, one of my guards, I'm not sure who, did something that offended them.
Oh no. Oh no. Iric is just going to be like trying to think about it in the look of realization, in the look of defeat, and then he just looks back to Sokin, like, how do you not know who it is? And he just kind of like catches his eyes and does one of those slow pulls to Taryn.
Aaron, I'm asking you to be honest here. Did you do anything to anger these barbarians?
Which barbarians?
From out west,
The-
right north of Kargans.
I was gonna be one of those like where he gets down slightly on a lower level, like he's talking to a child, and says, "The ones with the dragons."
I don't think I did anything to annoy barbarians with dragons.
Are you sure? Has he been out there recently, Marshall?
I haven't done anything to any people out there.
We have technically not been at the territory of those barbarians recently.
No, it's been well over a month.
But like the amount of time it takes to mobilize 3 independent tribes of barbarians to start marching west through enemy territory to come find someone is probably about a month.
Longer than that.
No longer than a month.
Yeah.
Like it could very well be us. I don't know what he did, but I think it was him. I'm pretty sure.
So, Izzy, I totally caught that phrasing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You say? What was the phrasing?
I didn't do anything to any barbarians with dragons.
No. What he said was that he didn't do anything to any people.
Oh yeah, any people. Oh, Izzy. Oh.
You know, if we're going to have to hand over Izzy to avoid a war,
Sean will be very happy.
Yup.
like,
As I said, maybe a good border skirmish and face-off would be the type of thing to convince some of my guardsmen that things matter still.
Potentially.
I worry about what will happen in the city if we have to deploy so many, but
We've negotiated with them before.
if
Can I-
there is anything I can do to assist you in preventing that from happening, Marshall.
We will add it to the great list of issues we are attempting to solve for your town.
Thank you.
I would suggest, if you're worried about a mutiny, that you not pursue finding who in the guard is corrupt. We can attempt to find that out from the outside.
I'll do my best to at least keep them focused on things that are definitively crimes and dangerous.
Get some rest again.
You too, Marshall.
Empathy. I'll
So-
take that back and relay that to the rest of the group because I don't know what to do about 3 marching armies. Dear God.
okay, so that's more problems to worry about, and damn it, I thought we solved that problem.
Oh no, you solved the problem of them marching on Kargaz.
Now
Yeah.
they're marching over here instead. Great. So, in all honesty, dumb possible solution. The guard needs more people. We need work for the risen. We actually try and get the risen hired through the guard. Have the guard go deal with the bandit problem with the directions that we have, and we can run off after the barbarian camp to see if we can stop that from happening.
Mental Gen, thoughts?
Are you asking Taryn for his input, Sean?
I'm asking the party for their input. Whether or not I weigh the input I get from every party member equally is a very different question.
So, I mean, last time we dealt with incoming barbarian armies, we went and talked to them and found a way to satisfy them. We have other immediate problems, but seems plausible that might work again.
And also the fact that we did do honorably dealt with them and solved the problem last time might mean that they're more likely to listen and at least buy us time if we go talk to them.
Maybe.
Talking may be the best option. I'm also concerned between this and the bandits that we're dealing with and everything that we're dealing with in town. What takes priority?
I mean, the thing that is going to actively try to kill the town, I think might be the highest priority thing.
The one complication you guys would have is that's also one of the few that the town is actually equipped to fight back against.
One of the concerns that I have is that you mentioned that he's not sure that if they were to deploy now, that the town would be able to survive without them due to the crime status.
Yeah. So, we have the Knights of the Order of the Rose working on the crime status. If we can bring in more people and get the Guard working on the crime status, and potentially the bandit problem, and then we deal with the army.
Yeah,
We would have to sell both the Sun Guard and the Order of the Rose on this plan, but I don't think that's that difficult.
Unfortunately, they're unable to root out their own corrupt members from within the Guard. We would have to do that externally.
So we help with that, and we use get them to accept the Risen that need work, so that way they have a new string of fresh hires that they know are not corrupt.
You're cutting out really bad.
I got it. Basically, we try to get the Risen in as fresh blood while we kind of help audit and root out the current corrupt people.
With your leave, Lord Aiden, I could join the Guard for a while and attempt to root out anyone that is turning a blind eye. I'm fairly good at it.
Okay, that should be fine as long as we do this before we go after either the bandits or the army, because not going after either of those without you on hand.
I would agree. I would very much agree. We may want to send a request back south for reinforcements.
Yeah. I probably will have to go talk to my boss myself.
I did not specifically tell him that you set fire to a warehouse.
See, that's the thing I would be least annoyed by you telling him.
It is your prerogative to be as annoyed as you wish to be, my lord.
The weird thing of, like, I like him thinking I'm the problem child of the entire Night Order.
I would agree with him.
But yeah, I will go talk to my boss in the Night Order, give all of the information that have on where they're going to be in the woods and what they've been doing in the woods. Bring up the discussed plans for how to deal with the Guard problem and supplement them. And also mention the thing of, like, potentially, rather than go off in the woods and deal with the bandit problem, spend some time rooting out the corruption in the city, and then go deal with the army, because the barbarian army is probably going to be a little bit higher in priority. Also, we will want backup in case the go talk to the barbarian army solution turns into, okay, yep, no, they are definitely still going to attack. We'll need to be able to withstand a siege.
One thing you guys know in Iric most especially is they don't really siege so much as raid and pillage.
Yeah.
Whatever.
For like established, like controlled armies.
Well, we also don't have walls that can withstand that would be holding up and withstanding a siege around this town, anyways. So
Yeah.
No, Sean, you definitely do have those walls around this city.
Also, we have an archmage.
No, yeah, no. This city is a border city that is actually held by a lord who got his fame from being good at military things.
okay, so we probably could withstand the attack and raid. It's just going to be very painful if it does happen.
Yes.
Okay.
So we should take the fight to them.
Except that's even going to be more painful because now we've tossed out all of our advantages in the battle.
And your biggest advantage is the fact that you have an organized army with better weapons and armor than them.
What if we were to invite them to a parlay? And then we don't have to split our force. We could send a small ride ahead and meet with them and see what it is that they're upset about.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming we were going to do as our party goes to talk to them. Or potentially Aiden and Ira could go to talk to them and then run back to the rest of the party very, very quickly.
I mean, they might they might attack you while they're there. They're just a bunch of filthy savages, after all.
Taryn, whatever gave you that impression?
The fact that they're filthy savages?
Yes. What gave you that impression?
The fact that they're filthy savages.
Repeating what you just said does not answer the question.
Yeah, I think we're definitely not sending Taryn to the meeting.
Once again,
But yeah, we did do the parlay with them before where we did follow our word, pay off the damages that were done by other people from our territory, including refunding them for the scam that happened. We should have decent reputation if we go back to them ourselves.
But didn't you just go and raid one of their temples, which was apparently, or one of their burial sites, which is also supposed to be illegal?
Not their territory.
No, it was in their territory. Well, what is now their territory? It wasn't when it was created.
Like, specifically asked when we did that one was away from the barbarian horde we had negotiated with before.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why someone disagreed. No, that one was up north towards that town that really likes you guys because you saved them from a different army.
Yeah, so that one was different area that we raided. We didn't raid anything that belonged to... We didn't go through any of the ruins that theoretically they believe belong to them.
The other important thing is the actual tomb you raided was for a princess of your own kingdom.
yeah.
Yep. Like...
But it's still in savage lands. It's still in the Badlands. So what difference does
But
it
it
make?
wasn't... But it isn't culturally their people's territory. Or their people's grave.
That does seem to matter quite a lot to them, yes.
Taryn's just going to shrug and not understand the difference.
Or
I'd be tempted to pull out illusionary charts to explain it, but there are two problems with that. One, the fact that I know it won't actually succeed or accomplish anything, and two, the Aiden will have to bemoan the fact that he has spent enough time having to do paperwork and cargos that he's capable of doing this now.
mm-hmm. Yeah, for the last bits of information that are relevant, Victor was trying to follow up with the Risen who were actively vanishing, right? So he's going to get some information on that shortly before a response to Kristoff's letter arrives, because it'll have been like, yeah, we can change. So, one thing that actually that Victor does catch is some of these Risen have been seen again. with the group that shows up and spends a lot of money in the local outlying towns.
Oh, well, I can't say I'm surprised to hear that.
A bunch of the Risen who got driven out of the city went and joined the bandits.
Oh no, that's not surprising. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, under the circumstances, I'm not going to terribly push too hard to try to get them out. Hopefully they will return when things become less shit. Or they'll, settle down elsewhere if they find a place.
Mm-hmm. And then Christoph does get a response to his letter.
Oh, good.
Which, firstly, the boss is very happy with this idea of a deal.
That's good.
He really likes this deal. He also appreciates the amount that you guys have probably been a thorn in Jitters' side. And, yeah. He can send some reinforcements up this way.
All right. It's actually more than I was expecting.
You guys actually gave me really embarrassed then.
Cool. All right.
But, no. That deal out in Parga is also something that's just nice. Still brought home the bacon with that one.
Sweet.
Let's see here. A question. I think, Sean, you just asked that one out loud.
Yeah, so basically would go to my boss in the Order of the Rose, whose name probably escapes me in character just as much as out of character.
Sir Hubert.
And let him know what I have found about the bandits from cursory investigation, but also mention the fact that I have found out there's a barbarian horde, and based off the fact that that was able to convince them not to go and raid Kargaz before, might be able to do the same with them of just figure out what they want and get them to go back to their territory, with a much less loss of life. And so would like permission to spend a few days preparing and dealing with corruption in this current town before go off and try to see if can parlay with them, instead of going to run into the woods to deal with bandits.
He's going to briefly look at you and just be like, Lord, do you actually believe that you could take a couple of days to root out what seems to be a very deeply nested bit of corruption?
Oh, not to get rid of all of it, but just want to set in some things in place so that I can see the results and see if it worked when I get back. Don't expect it to completely solve itself in a couple of days, but put a policy in place that should hopefully lower the corruption is something that can do in a couple of days, and then see result. And then while I would need to do the boring thing of waiting to see if it actually worked, I can instead, during that downtime, go and talk with the barbarian.
He is giving you the most skeptical look possible. See, now, the information about this group of bandits is incredibly useful. From my understanding, they have been confounding the Sun Guard this entire time, and loath as I am to admit it, Lord Aiden, I believe you to be one of the more powerful mages in the area, with particular skill in plant-based magic. If they're using that to hide themselves, you may be one of the only people capable of finding them swiftly.
Ah, you went and fucked yourself there.
Yeah, like I am also probably one of the few people that has gone and negotiated successfully with this barbarian horde and walked away with my head still on my shoulders. So,
Hey, people have spoken to them a significant amount before.
have people had successful negotiations with them? When
Well,
they have decided that they're going to go and burn a city to the ground?
Well, considering the first time that happened was about 7 months ago, and now we are at the second time it appears to be happening. They were quite quelled by Lord Alexander when he was alive. And when they believed him to still be alive.
Yep. And then because of the fact that Lord Alexander wasn't actually alive and no one was actually dealing with the problem, and instead just trying to constantly take advantage of Lord Alexander's reputation to do things that they really shouldn't have been getting away with, we then had to go and make a deal with convince them not to go throw themselves at what they believed was going to be a dangerous threat, but was instead basically a house of cards.
Even as it may, you did successfully speak to them before. I remain entirely skeptical that you can accomplish anything in a couple of days regarding the corruption in this city. And frankly, it is not our responsibility. That falls to the Sun Guard themselves and the Viscount.
You know, Nick, out of character, what would I roll to pull out some dumb part of our oath that would actually be applicable to dealing with this situation instead?
Is that fast talking?
That would be fast talking at a penalty.
Yes.
Because you're definitely stretching part of it to try and justify that.
To the guy who arguably knows it better than anyone else.
Okay.
Not that level, but
So fast talk.
Like I said, you're kind of trying to tell a regional FBI director that you want to get involved in rooting out corruption in this small town sheriff's office when there's an army coming in and a magical terrorist running around.
Well, like, the other thing is deal with the army before deal with the magical terrorist would be probably the bigger thing.
If you're trying to argue that from him, he'd just be like, if you think that is the best use of your time, then, of course, that is what we're here to do.
Okay. Then we'll mention that, and then I can, while we prep a few days to do that, can also see because we're not going to instantly stand up and leave. I can then also do some work on the corruption problem, because I can't prepare to go talk to barbarians and also raid a forest.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Or if I animate enough trees, can I do both?
So the problem here is not about the animation, it's about the intelligence of the tree.
Is there a plant spell that boosts the intelligence of trees?
Not one that you have access to.
Darn.
Can the raise IQ general enhancement spell work on trees?
I'm going to go with it doesn't work on basically constructs.
Okay. Perfectly viable answer. Just wanted to ask because I could spend points and acquire it.
Fair enough.
We will not at this point be able to create a private investigator that is also a tree.
Summon like a wood elemental and that would be different.
Woodlock Holmes.
Oh,
There's got to be a better pun for that.
I don't know, kind of grown out of name. So
Sherry Lock Holmes.
Sherlock.
Yeah.
John Woodson.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Sherlock Elms.
Ooh.
Sherlock
Good.
Hines.
Ah. But no, like Hubert does actually agree that, like, if you want to focus on the the approaching barbarian army problem, that he thinks is completely acceptable.
Okay, yeah. Then that one deal with first, while seeing if we can help make sure the other stuff gets.
Resolved.
All right.
Are we settled on what we're doing before we go over there to talk to these people?
I feel like you guys should have a discussion as a group about what you want to do before you go talk to the barbarian army and, like, strategies for trying to root out corruption.
So, I think getting more fresh blood into the guard can help root out corruption because we know those people are relatively safe. We can go try and do sting operations on a few people, just absorb them, figure out, see who we can get talking after a few rounds of drink, see if who Thief Terran can shadow and find out, yep, definitely is doing dealings. And also can potentially just look at the paper trail.
Just look at what? Sean, you broke up there.
Paper trail where, like, documents don't line up, where, like, someone didn't report something that, like, clearly should have been marked.
That implies a level of documentation that is applicable for the modern day, but not necessarily the time period you're in.
I mean, it was possible in Cardass.
They have documentation about things like what the money was being spent on, not like what random guards stopped people at the border of the city.
So, if I find and I look at what random guard A is being paid, and find out, you know what, random guard A is doing really, really well for someone who is being paid mediocre guard salary, and also isn't from family of merchants or nobles.
Oh, yeah, no, that would totally work. It's like, you're not going to find anything about particular stops because they don't write that down.
So I know that some of us, and I'm going to glance around the group, and if Anya is there and being quiet, hesitate on her.
I think Anya is currently trying to organize that the merchants to actually collectively, like, hire better guards to protect themselves, and, like, mercenaries are more legit than criminals.
Okay,
if worst comes to worst.
then I'm looking
Wait.
pointedly at Kristoff and no one else.
Illegal merchants collectively acting?
Yeah, weird, isn't it?
But I'm going to look specifically at Kristoff and say it may be helpful if we attempt to approach this from the other side of the law.
As far as the rooting out the corruption.
Yes, if we find people who are willing to work with us with regards to a shipment that may or may not be illicit, then we would know who's looking the other way. We would have to say that we're involved in some stuff that's a lot worse than coffee. We wouldn't have to actually produce the merchandise, I don't believe.
There may or may not already be some things going on in the background to help address that. Out of character, I literally PM'd Nick about this like 30 minutes ago.
He did.
Should I be concerned?
No, not really. Basically...
No, I'm curious if in character you would say that to him because I don't know.
No, I would not say that in character.
Okay.
Or could I answer
I would
first?
just say like there may or may not be some things already in the work to help address that.
Okay. In the metagame, I appreciate that. In the specific game, that's what's happening.
I mean, to say, Dad, you're just talking to Shad about that, and like He's basically going to ask Kristoff what his plan is for this, because his first plan seemed to work swimmingly. For what type of reinforcements that you guys need, and what they should be doing.
Yeah. That is a good question. I mean, 'cause, yeah, we're getting the reinforcements coming. I mean, I assume some of that manpower is going to get diverted to Cardaws once that is able to start being established.
Oh no, he's sending 2 groups up. One of them is going to go do that. The other is your support.
Oh, okay, good. All right, that makes things simpler. I mean, we'll need some setup jobs on guards so they can kind of conveniently get caught. We'll probably need some extra manpower just to.
Is this in character or out of character? Okay.
This is out of character.
Okay.
We'll probably need some of it to help deal with at least the bandit problem. I'm not sure I want to send a group of effectively thieves into a meat grinder of barbarians.
I'm gonna say, Dan, if you talk to him about that, he's gonna be like, Kristoff, you are literally the best mage we've got.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's probably not.
In regard to the bandit problem, where they're like, our guys aren't gonna go deal with that. Like,
fair enough. I mean, it's more of a thing. Like, I mean, if we needed to help with mop up after the mage is dead. But again, that's just spitballing.
Like, look, I know you hang out and know a bunch of knights now. Most of our guys, like, they're good in a scrap, but they're not the sort who, like, can go hijack a caravan and plausibly fight off who's ever protecting.
No, I know. I'm just spitballing. But no, the best thing we can do is basically. Honestly, the manpower will kind of help to start moving the operation underground more so that way once the corrupted guys get offered up, it doesn't heavily impact business.
Mm-hmm.
At least not in the long term.
Say, like, he's gonna say, like, I mean, I got some ideas if your friends over in the Earth Movers Guild need some work and are willing to not talk about it.
Well, given how strapped I'm sure some of the Revenant workers are, I'm sure something can be arranged.
All right.
I'd say I wasn't being literal about the underground. It kind of sounds like he is.
Oh no, he's being very literal.
I mean, as long as it works, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. All right, back to in-character group planning.
But yeah, basically, I've got some ideas for how to. There are some ways that problem will be dealt with. I may need to talk with Victor a little bit about some details. But yeah, I think we can say I think the things going on in the background should be able to do most of the hard work as far as rooting out the corrupted guardsmen. And then that'll also get the Earth Movers Guild and the Revenants more work, and also kind of endear them to us, so that all works out swimmingly.
Mm-hmm. Endear them to us.
Hey, Victor.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to work out a deal with the Earth Movers? Has some healers on hand, right?
Probably at least some for like industrial accidents and shit.
Yeah, so would you be able to help work out a deal with the guards so that Risen can get magical healing, since Risen do not naturally heal?
This is the biggest problem with Risen as, like, guards or mercenaries.
Yeah. I mean, I can ask around and see if anybody's willing to do it. But don't like just because I have healing magic does not mean that there's lots of other people who do at the Earth Movers. What would I roll to see how many I can get?
I'd say job skill, and it's going to be based off your margin for that.
Yeah, that I figured. Pass by 4.
Also, pass by 2 for the administration work that was doing for going through the guard's paperwork and accounts.
It's going to take you a long time to go through that. But you can definitely pull it off. So the big thing for this from all perspective is you can get enough mages to make this work temporarily. It's definitely not a permanent solution because you're like, if the Risen who joined the guard wind up getting involved in a bunch of scraps or like having to actually do a significant amount, you don't have enough to handle all of the healing they'll need, and that's kind of a bad negative spiral, but you have enough to make at least this first part of the plan work.
Also, if we mostly put them on border watch and things like that, with the fact that, like, Risen need less sleep, right?
Yeah.
So, like, night shifts and the various things for longer shifts, for the, like, hey, we need people to be aware and watching these gates and keeping eyes out. Like, those things don't usually erupt into violence.
Yeah, like, or I don't know how many Risen would necessarily enjoy being tapped like this, but when you have a group that collectively doesn't need a lot of sleep, and there's a lot of logistical planning and paperwork to sort out on short notice. All-nighters become much less of a concern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there are any of them with administration, accounting, whatever skills.
All right, give me a second. I need to ask people for roles in private chat.
Subwoofer command.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it was just, you also know the barbarian armies are still decently far out because marking armies is slow.
Okay. So is what you're saying is that should we be focusing on corruption and dealing with the bandit problem first?
It's more a question of, it's going to take them a decent chunk of time to reach you. Do you want to intercept them before they're at the actual border?
I would potentially like to intercept them before they get to the border, because that gives us then time to get back to town and go, okay, nope, things failed, or this is what our timeline is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know that they're probably about, like, so if you assume that they can freely move through whatever territory they're going through right now, they're like almost 2 weeks ago. You guys know enough politically to know that they're going to be like getting passage through other territory than their own, which means it's going to be a bit slower. But it's a question of how much.
Okay. So I guess question to party: do we go deal with that as soon as possible, catch them off multiple weeks in advance, or wait until they're only like a week or two out and much closer to us and deal with the bandits first?
Thoughts, everybody?
Sure.
Yep, I'm responding to that now.
Sure is not an opinion.
Wait,
Do you care about Taryn's opinion?
Out of character, yes.
Okay. That is fair.
Guys, what were you looking for agreement on?
So they're several weeks out. Do we want to head and go try to discuss with the barbarian camp way in advance? Or do we want to basically do that in a week or two and deal with the bandit problem first?
Wait, deal with the bandit problem for I think we should deal with the guard first.
Isn't that pretty much what Ken was ranting about? That we can't feasibly do that in like 3 days.
Yeah, I mean like I said, the guard stuff is going to be happening, but Nick, safe to say it's probably going to take some time while all of that develops.
Unless you guys do the equivalent of dropping a bomb in the middle of the room for that. Yeah. Like figuring out which people are corrupt and how and catching them and things takes a while to root out.
Meaning that we probably can't spend weeks ignoring both the army and the bandits to deal with this. We need to deal with one of those ones, and we'll spend a couple of days making sure we have supplies to go off into the woods or go cross a few borders to get to where the barbarians are, and then during that time while those supplies are gathered, do as much as we can on the corruption problem, come back, do more on the corruption problem as we prep for going and dealing with the next physical problem.
Well, it's not just the bandits and the barbarians, there's also the criminals.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason why the guard can't deal with the barbarian problem is the criminal problem.
And
That may be more important than the guard problem. The guard problem is just the easiest part of the criminal problem for me to deal with.
Yeah, the criminal problem is mostly being caused by the rival group, right?
Yeah,
and we're bringing in people from the friendly neighborhood mafia to deal with the less friendly neighborhood mafia, which is going to take time. And if we get the guard deal with guard corruption, it starts to deal with some of the criminal problem on its own. And we also have the knights looking at the criminal problem. So we have also a lot of slow-moving progress on the criminal problem.
Right.
And even slower, smaller moving progress on the corruption problem.
So for the
I mean,
corruption
honestly,
problem,
if we can get rid of
I'm trying to drop a bomb in the road. Once you meant that, like literally.
Like,
my
the
friends
only
are
thing
really-
I can think of for the corruption problem of how we solve this in a day is Aiden goes and starts glamoring people
Starts what?
using the mind crush.
Oh.
Yeah, no, like I said, there are ways to deal with the corruption problem in a day. It's definitely using a chainsaw or a sledgehammer.
No, that was my plan. On my end. My plan was to look at the list of names, figure out which ones are close to the guard, walk into the room and say, look, I know what you're doing, and then see what their reaction is. And if they're dirty, just push on them so hard that they lay low for a little bit. And like just start really sowing concern.
Okay.
That there is an internal investigation coming from a different city because they're fucking up. Like that was my plan. Because I'm very good at a handful of things, and one of those things is telling when people are lying, and the other one is chewing out guards.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm good at
The other thing is, as the guards as the corrupted guards get taken out, it's also going to put more pressure on the criminals because they're going to have fewer contacts to work with.
And also, if you just like make them really nervous, like you don't even have to find them so much as convince them that now is not the time to be doing dumb shit. And then that'll choke the criminals a little bit. Like just start a divisive event. That was my plan. But I was planning to go raise an unholy ruckus for a few days. I was going to goose it up. I was going to worship the good Lord.
Honestly, I
Peace was
don't.
never an option.
I would not. Honestly, I would not mind Eirik causing a huge ruckus. That could actually work pretty well.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're doing, but Eirik would not be cagey at all about what he's planning on doing. Because he's probably walking around brooding over a cup of coffee, going, once those sons of bitches get a piece of my mind.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it sounds like rough plan is Eirik raises unholy hell for several days, and the guards would at least maybe not fix the problem entirely, but stymie it for a while.
Send them.
Then you guys figure out your plan for going and talking. Is what it sounds like. Is this accurate?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. I believe this calls for an intimidation roll from Eirik. That I'm giving him a +2 from his soldier job proficiency in.
A +2?
Yeah.
Alright.
In before 18.
Okay, that is a pass by 3.
Okay. So he passed by 3. I'm mostly going to be using this roll to judge how long it takes before Eirik feels comfortable saying, all right, we can go for a bit.
I just want to know how many people I'm sure are corrupt. Because I don't actually necessarily know anybody that I think is roughly suspicious. I'm like, are you aware that this guard is being investigated? Just
Yeah,
like,
so
poke my head into their eyes.
here's the problem.
Yeah.
Eirik very quickly gets a large number of people confessing to ignoring shipments of coffee.
Oh no, I would tell them, great, now what about everything else?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that there's...
Oh, no. What I'm telling you is, like, all of them are at least a little corrupt.
No, that's... Yeah, but I don't care about...
I know. I'm giving you the big thing for this. All of them are at least a little corrupt, and after about 3 days of this, Eirik's pretty sure that pretty much close to all of them have ignored something else that's more serious than coffee.
Okay.
And like that's sort of the problem that I believe was you and Aiden were talking about earlier, where you were like, this coffee thing is causing so many problems with people just ignoring the law and then ignoring other things because they happen to already be ignoring this one.
Would...
Sunk
feel like-
cost fallacy of crime.
I think I would rapidly understand if they were like just slippery sloping versus like ignoring protection. Like there's a big step between like I ignored coffee, so I also ignored opium. Okay, both of them are illicit substances. Makes sense.
There's a lot of them.
I ignored opium, so then I started ignoring people getting threatened to be killed if they didn't hand over their money and leave us.
Oh no, there's some people who definitely Eirik catches with that.
Okay.
The big thing is most of them are I ignored the coffee, then I ignored the opium, and then They asked about getting some like crossbows into the city because people wanted to go hunting, and the Viscount restricted hunting on it very heavily, and who's allowed to own these, so that people couldn't go hunt his deer. And so the guard were like, fuck it, honestly, he doesn't pay us enough for this. And also, I want to go hunt a deer at some point in my life.
Okay.
There are several who are actually really scared of the criminals. Where they're like, yeah, I noticed it happening, and there's 6 of them over there and 1 of me when I noticed something happening.
Okay.
And by the time I went and grabbed my buddies, they were gone.
See, that I'm not mad about. That was, I went and got reinforcements and then they left. Like, that's not ignoring something. That's not getting dead.
And then there's... Yeah. It's like, a lot of them know that there's a huge problem, but they're like, we don't have the people to deal with this. And the couple of times we went after some of them, really bad shit happened.
I would like to give them... Just tell me who these people are. Locations, names. If they're threatening you, you know who they are and what they look like.
I mean, a bunch of them are already on your list.
Great. Well, just like circling crap.
Yeah, but that's the problem is these guys are basically scared that if they start... like, a bunch of them also were like, I'm pretty sure I got ensorcelled when I started asking too many questions, so I stopped asking them questions.
Oh, I want those people to talk to David.
What's the word you used there? Ensorcelled?
I don't know the first thing about like spell magic, brain trickery. I would like to pull them aside and stick them on the mages. Here, come
Yeah.
somebody who knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's that, and the thing you also get is there's a few of them that are pretty sure they saw that bandit leader and then went, nope, 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 not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
See, if people made a smart tactical decision, I'm not mad. I was just promised corruption and found a lot of people who were like, we're literally overwhelmed.
Dude,
So
you just think a lot of the corruption is also they're just like, yeah, like we're overwhelmed, we don't make enough money, so like when people are like, hey, listen, here's $100, just don't look in that trunk. They just didn't look in the trunk.
okay.
There's a lot of like,
Is my intimidation score good enough to insist upon them that if they take any money for not looking in trunks, they're going to need a lot more money to repair the damage that I'm going to do to them?
your intimidation score is good enough for that. They're very worried about like all the opium and stuff they were just ignoring.
Good. I'll let them. I'm not worried about it, but I'll let them.
But a big thing is a lot of them feel really overwhelmed, and a bunch of them also are just like they're kind of like, yeah, shit's going to hell.
I mean, that's fair.
I'm not gonna go stir shit where I might get stabbed.
That's fair. That sounds like a good tactic.
That sounds
That
like
does not sound like I feel the need to crack your head.
that sounds like the comment of, yeah, we wish Taran was around more often. We would just send him to go stir that pot.
Actually, some of them do say, yeah, no, if he was here, we'd just go send him at the problem, and then, like, he'd get the shit kicked out of him, but so would they, and then he'd be better in, like, a week.
I love that they know, and it took us forever to find out, but like everyone's like, yeah, he healed real fast.
It's not, they're just, we don't know what's up with it, but they're like, yeah, he gets better real well.
They probably don't know at the full level of the cut off limbs.
They're also just like, he's also really tough. Like, he comes out of a fight with less bruises than other guys do.
Scrawny little bastard, too.
Scrawny little bastard. Pretty sure I saw him wrestle a bear once.
The bear lost.
I mean, Taran probably lost several fingers in that. But they don't realize that.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's like, one of the big, at the low level, the big problem is a lot of the guard are taking bribes to just ignore things when they've already been ignoring things, and they're like, shit's fucked right now, I'm going to take my money where I can. And then you send them to the mages.
Yes. Which of the various magic skills should the mages roll?
Thaumatology or perception with your magery as a bonus.
Definitely go on perception, then.
Definitely going
Yeah,
perception.
that perception with major is bonus is just going to be strictly better at than thaumatology.
Mm-hmm.
Pass by 3.
Pass by 3.
Pass by 3.
Go team.
All right. Let's see here. I'm just trying to remember what things everyone has. So, a bunch of them have like lingering traces of magic on them, but no active effects. At least none that you can find. Mostly it's stuff from illusions and mind control.
Do you have a sense of how old?
It's the thing of like not very strong. It was either very strong and applied a long time ago, or not very strong and recently applied. Given the descriptions that these guys are giving, you're guessing not very strong, but like recently applied.
Okay. Did the mind control
Yes,
include
Dave?
erasing whomever applied it from their memories?
They don't have good memories of who did it. No.
Worth a shot.
Like, some of them give vague descriptions, but these descriptions are not consistent with each other. With, a couple of exceptions. Like, some of specifically the guards who are here, who are on night watch, very much like, it's not a specific person, but like, basically, dude shows up in a sort of wearing like heavy robes, obviously magical in some way, and then the guy's like, and I can't remember what happened after that.
Got it.
So it's not a lot, but there's a small bit of, but a few of these guys have small bits of fey magic on them, and that leads a huge question of where the fuck how the fuck they have someone working for them that can work that. Meaning that they either have a fey on hand, or they made a deal to grant one of them fey magic, because actually probably deal because changelings can't really use fey magic directly. So someone in their group, it seems like, would have had to make a deal.
That's a problem.
Like, there's a chance that it is that they have one or two changelings under them, because those do exist, but like, changelings don't generally get themselves limited to only human magic. If any, for the most part, they can't really do a glamour.
Right. That could be a huge issue.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think we've stalled.
We probably
So, like I said, it's a quick. What do you want to do next? Because mostly for next session in the new year, is the focus going to be go meet the barbarians, and if so, how far out?
Well, like, are they riding past Kargaz, or are they going up north and then coming back down?
I mean, they're not riding through Kargaz. They're going around, but they were to the northwest anyway, so they can pretty much head east and then south.
So like that? Map.
Mm-hmm. You should be on the map.
Yeah. I drew an arrow.
Yeah, pretty much like that.
Okay. I hear typing.
Yeah, a bunch of people are asking questions. Yeah, I think the big one is at what point along that route do you want to try and meet up?
so,
That is a tactics roll, methinks.
I can do tactics in a second. Or strategy.
This is actually much more a strategy roll.
I believe I have that.
I think because this falls under the Aiden is much better at his job than he actually pretends to be.
By that a little bit. It's still not at like a great level because I only have a couple of points into it instead of like 4 or 8 points like I do other things. I'm debating whether or not I want to bump it to a full 12 or to leave it at 11. Because I don't think I have any situational modifiers to this from other skills or knowledge, right?
Nope.
Let's put the remaining 2 points I have, mark it up to 12, and then I can at least have better than 50% shot. Slightly better, but better. Pass by 2.
All right, so Sean, I'm going to ask you for establish a fact about what is Aiden's strategy and why is it a good idea for where he chooses to meet them.
So this is meeting with the barbarians for negotiation. Sorry, I got distracted by all the typing.
No, this is for barbarians for negotiation.
Probably near the border, potentially somewhere in a strongly forested area where it would be because of the strong, heavy forestry. While there is a clearing for us to meet at, so none of us have to worry about like big assassins or whatever. It's close enough to the woods that could escape back to it relatively fast enough, and it would be something that a slow moving, while like our party could bolt through the woods pretty quickly, a large moving army is going to either have to break itself apart and break entirely, or it's going to have to stop and take like slow way through.
Okay. No,
Especially since they probably won't have experience going down the path that we're going down.
Sounds good to me. Oh, yeah, you will have a nice clearing to have a discussion in where there's good retreat options. Can you post that in tactics?
Okay.
Thank you, Sean. All right, I think that probably does it for tonight. Okay.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any last thing they would like to do?
I think I'm good.
All right.
I think so too. This private message conversation is getting a little heated.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of private message
I'm
conversations.
sure that this isn't going to be a short private message conversation.
No.
No, it's not. Part of me thinks most of this should happen on screen too, but we'll deal with that another day, I guess.
Eventually, like, all the things that happen in these private conversations are going to have to go public. What is great is that discovered that one of the things that is still a secret for character never came up because planned drive-by arson on a boat was a success.
Izzy, I don't know how much time everybody has before they have to turn in, but do you just want to do this scene on screen?
I already sent Nick a 3-page thing of my responses to where I think this can go, so you might want to earmark this for another time. I don't think it's appropriate for us to be having this in between sessions. Probably when something triggers the majority of this is going to come out anyway.
I feel like this actually is a thing that you guys should have between sessions to at least finish the conversation.
Yeah, and then we can do it on screen.
And then you can bring out points on screen. It's probably going to take half an hour to an hour from what Izzy sent me.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I have no idea what's going on. I've just been
I know.
mildly heated conversation in DM, so I will trust your judging.
Yep, it's mostly the if it weren't for the fact that I had work to do, and I know other people still do.
No, I'm just amazed that cracking open just the topic is going to end up taking an hour.
I've only been waiting for you guys to crack this topic for 10 sessions.
And now
Except the problem is the thing of Aiden has ideas on what's happened, but he doesn't care.
I know.
And Lore started to poke it when we went to the ruins, but
everyone knows what's going on.
Sorry, Ricky, you got talked over there?
As long as, Izzy, you're happy with how we're handling it, and at some point you get to crack it on screen so that people know what's going on. It's up to you how you want to handle this. It's your plot.
Depending on how the conversation goes, we might just crack it beginning of next session on recording screen.
Okay.
I think that might be...
There is a very good chance you don't ask the right questions and this remains unresolved. You just have insight.
I think cracking it at the beginning of next session, someone else walks in on Eirik and Taryn having an intense conversation that might get heated, feels like a good way for this to actually happen.
Yeah.
It's already heated, like more heated.
Yeah.
But I think that being the first scene of next session makes sense.
Fair. So we doing questions and answers?
Indeed we are. Let's see here. First off, everyone get a character point. Secondly, I have about 16 days having passed overall between session and this session time for you to give yourself training time for job stuff / the skills you were using all session.
How much is that in hours?
Oh. 80.
80
It's 2
hours.
weeks, so 80. And a month ticked by, so it's time for everyone to pay for their cost of living again.
Oh, shit. I haven't made a job roll.
Nope.
Yeah.
Like, I literally have $50. I don't think I can... What is my current...
Well, you have 16 days to make that job roll, Doreen.
Oh yeah, you did your job back.
But like not much.
2 weeks of your job is still a lot of money, Ricky.
Okay. I also don't have any cost so
Yeah.
Hey, Nick,
And,
because I have been rolling, I need to roll administering because I'm still in charge of that territory. That's a pass by 4.
Okay, you haven't actually been there administering it, but you're getting money because you're in charge of it.
Well, like, there's
Modify-
paperwork. We stopped by on the way back here.
Yep,
There's letters.
fair enough.
Does all of my background machinations count as doing like quote unquote job?
Roll your background machinations. Roll your job roll at +5.
Okay.
Nick,
Also, Taryn can probably make a withdrawal from the Bank of Anya.
I mean, probably. Like, supposedly I also had an advantage, which was Kargaz was paying for some of my stuff to be here. But, you know, that lifeline has long since sailed.
Yeah.
Nick, what job role am I making?
Sorry, give me 1 sec. You are making your regular job roll in this case, is he?
Tracking? I'm not really doing that, though.
Oh, then soldier.
Oh, yeah, that's only against a 7.
Yeah, pass by 7. What does that get me for money?
That gets you net 295.
Okay.
Fail by 3.
Well, Taryn has not that much money this month, but...
Because soldiers...
Oh, wait, no, Taryn actually gets paid reasonably well.
Yes, I do.
Uh,
I just need like $250.
you got passed by 6, Dave?
Yep.
And Ricky, what did you pass by? Yeah. Oh, wait, actually, let me...
two.
All right, Rick passes by 2. I have a spreadsheet. All right. Aiden makes 700.
Donate back into territory.
Well,
As I've been doing with all of these administration roles.
yep. I already gave Christoph his. Iric nets 3,000.
Woohoo!
Taryn nets 680.
680.
And Victor nets 1040.
Not bad at all.
Nope.
How much of my money was supposed to go to gift?
We already subtracted that out. That's a lot of money, Ricky.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
Wait, Nick, you negated my overall cost?
Yeah, this is your net, Izzy. Because your overall cost of living is 300, so I just subtracted that from what you made. Remember, you make way more money than you spend for cost of living.
I'm aware. No, that's why I was asking my net.
Yep. And now, I think, is time for the question. Who gets to go first? The dice will tell us who gets to go first. And the answer in this case is Eirik.
See, today Eirik learned a lot.
Eirik got caught up on everything.
Yeah, okay, well, between sessions, Eirik learned a whole lot, and very little of it came up this session. So we'll see.
Some of it did.
Some of it did. And then this session, Eirik learned that Taryn is a triple murderer, which is spicy, and that Anya supports arson, which is not surprising but disappointing. I left her with one job. I still don't know anything about Kristoff working on that one.
He's sexier.
Oh yeah, I learned that Kristoff is sexy. Victor is using his union skills, so I think I officially know lots of things about his union skills now, which is nice. And by that I mean working with it.
Oh yeah.
And I learned some interesting things about Eden that I can't say in public.
Oh my.
As a player, I think that I'm starting to learn the impacts of the 2-month break on Eirik, and I'm very excited about where that's going.
That does bring up the point. We never actually asked Eirik what happened out in Kargaz during this whole time. Like, the rest of the party filled you in on what was going on. We never went the other way.
No, you did not. Plot has come to roost.
That is true. Why are we so inconsiderate?
I imagine that we're going to find out either way next session.
Probably. All right.
Did you get married?
No, I'm still not married. I don't know if I'm single, but I'm still not married.
Next up is Kristoff.
Okay. So, Kristoff learned that he has a surprising talent for middle management. I think if there's anything else major. Well, we did learn that we're going to have to deal with Fey magic among all the other bullshit. So that's going to be great. Guess that's pretty much it as far as what I learned this session.
Yeah, no, a lot of this was reconfirming a lot of what Kristoff already knew about the rest of the party.
Great.
Let's see. We rollin'. Taryn.
What did Taryn learn? That apparently everybody in the guard is, breaking the law because, they're letting coffee through, which is something Sir Eirik said he was going to, stamp out the corruption, but he's not stamping that out. That's going to be a problem. Oh, and Taryn has nice new armor. I need to get the stats on that armor, but it's nice and new.
Look at the general doc. It's a fine, light gambeson.
I will look at that in a little bit. But otherwise, Taryn was just kind of staying the course, I think. Like, not much else learned this session. Yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. Victor.
Victor learned that there's a bunch of stuff around sort of union influence and politics, and management can be used for good, or good adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Given some of the things being discussed. Beyond that, I think that's probably the big one.
Yeah, but sounds like you guys got a lot of information about plot that is happening.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Aiden.
So let's see. Aiden got confirmation on his incredible skills. The barbarian problem that solved before has been potentially become unsolved, and it is probably Terran's fault. So that's annoying.
Why is it always my fault?
Because it's always your fault. We've been over this already. Also, we're just very suspicious of the person who doesn't believe their people might have caused problems. Also, I'm very suspicious of, even if it's not you, it being another Terran, because of course it will be another Terran.
This is the fault of some Terran somewhere.
Even if it's the PC Terran, Terran will find a way to be a problem.
Let's see. I found out that because planned drive-by arson on a boat went off incredibly well, I actually bypassed the disadvantage entirely.
You did. It was kind of amazing.
Like, that's personally hilarious. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I learned my boss's name for the second time. I'll probably learn it for the third time next session. Yep.
All right. This was a lot of investigation and exposition session, but thank you guys for, redoing times in the week so we could have something before Christmas.
Yes.
This was
It
fun.
was really good to hang out with you guys again. I missed you.
Yep,
We
it was
missed
good
you,
seeing
Sir
you.
Iric.
Really good.
And now you see what degeneracy happens when you're gone.
Can never take a night off again.
Never.
Iric,
But
maybe
see-
I can finally relax. Comes back
But
to the
Ricky,
party.
there's a really big question. Was Aiden actually the one that caused a ton of problems while you were gone?
That is a good question. Because, okay, so as far as I know, when it comes to fault, not necessarily. I have the strange feeling that he is instigating or complicit in a lot of what the party did while I was gone. So I'm not willing to say that it was his fault. Because he's the one who gave me the most thorough explanation of what happened, and I'm like, sus.
I thought I gave you a pretty thorough explanation.
So,
Yeah, but I trust your explanation because it was self-implicating.
Who's mine or Aiden's?
Yours. Aiden's was like, we did nothing wrong, and now I'm avoiding my boss. And I'm like, that all sounds like things you would say. Yes.
I mean,
so
Aiden avoids his boss and work all the time.
Aiden was indeed not for a good chunk of this period. The people doing sort of active planning were Aiden, sometimes Anya, sometimes Victor, and sometimes Kristoff.
Oh yeah, I definitely had hands in plan arson.
Yeah, notice my name does not appear in that at all.
Thief Terran
No one. Yes, Thief Terran. but so it is difficult. So I would say that yes, Aiden is definitely involved and could reasonably be determined to be at fault for many of the things we did.
I will take fault for plan arson. I will not take fault for the various random murders that Taryn did.
No. I'm pretty sure the triple murdering was Taryn's fault. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like there was literally no one there but Taryn, and then triple murder.
I'm gonna hop off, guys.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Dan.
And yeah, that is completely correct. You could only blame Aiden for that in the terms of he let a heavily armed child run off on his own, and was nominally an adult around,
I mean,
even if Anya was also around.
Yeah.
I would actually argue most of the blame there lies with Kristoff. If he had just told me he was following me, a lot could have been avoided.
I believe Kristoff had trouble keeping up with you.
Yeah, because he was sneaking behind me and didn't say, I'm coming with you.
Aiden, I think you're possibly off the hook because Izzy has already informed me today that because I was gone, all of this is technically my fault.
Yeah.
Exactly. You weren't there to defend yourself.
Iric was the restraining bolt on all of the problems.
Then it was gone.
And then all the problems happened. All right, I don't even know what to call this session. Anybody have an opinion?
Lines had to be drawn somewhere.
Yeah.
Lines in the sand.
Like, I am very sad that no one quoted the various discussions of, like, we draw the line at poisoning innocent civilians, we draw the line at hate crimes, we draw the line at murdering unarmed civilians because we're being belligerent.
Listen,
Okay. First of all, no, Iric has not asked me. Iric has not asked me about that, and I was the only one there, and you're actually misremembering it. I have notes on that.
Okay, yeah. I'm more of what these. I don't. Yeah, I don't remember fully how it went. I would have to listen to the recording again.
Yeah.
I
mean, having listened to it, taken notes, I remember exactly how it went down. You guys are focusing on one aspect of it. You're very much ignoring the other half of it, which is fine.
Well, the biggest part, I think one of the biggest part is the fact that he said they didn't count as people afterwards.
Yes, I totally did. And I am not going to deny that out of character.
Which is why I've mostly described it as draw the line at hate crimes.
No, that's...
The other part is really good. Everyone else basically got it from the perspective of the village that got attacked.
Yeah, that's the other half of it.
Yeah.
I forget if that was
Which is probably a little bit... Which is probably definitely not going to be an unbiased opinion.
Yeah, I actually forget, Nick, was that something we did voice, or was that something we did type back and forth?
Pretty sure that one was voiced.
Okay.
I think parts of it were voiced, but because the rest of the party wasn't there, and there was, or perhaps you pulled Izzy and Dan into a separate voice channel.
Izzy and Dan into a separate voice channel, but because I didn't see it in my one-on-ones with Izzy channel.
Yeah, I don't think you did it to us at the same time because Dan wasn't there. Like, really, there's actually three sides to this story. There's the side everybody knows, which was the villager side. There's my side, and then there's the side that Dan also heard from the villagers and then relayed to you guys.
Yep.
Like, in and out of character, I will argue, those villagers that I attacked were not unarmed.
But it feels like good time tonight.
Yep.
Next session will be interesting when you go talk to the same group you talked to last time.
Oh, fun times. Alrighty, I'm going to end the recording. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Internet.